delivers. Welcome, world. This is Concrete and Blossom Podcast, where we create change through conversation. I'm your creator and host, DawnTheDoll, and you are now tuned in to another garden gathering for episode numero 5. That's 5 in French for those of you who didn't know. And today we plant the seed called Black. We have some really powerful Black millennials joining us for this call, checking in to help you and your friends and your family and your network keep it 100. So we're going to be talking about guy codes, girl codes, the Black code. It all ties in. So, Allie, first and foremost, it should be understood, but it's not. So let's explain the first code that we should all be living by.
So the code that I live by pertains to breakups. So when I am in a relationship with somebody, or my friend, my sister, cousin is in a relationship with somebody, when they break up, our relationship has officially dismantled. It no longer exists with the person who they were in a relationship with. So when we're talking about codes to live by, that's one of the first ones that comes to my mind. Is just, if we breaking up, if you're breaking up with them, then I'm breaking up with them.
Okay. And the question I had about that was, when it comes to especially like your family or your friends, if you meet somebody through someone and you guys then form your own relationship through time. Now, this can be an extended period of time and you've built your own relationship with that person. Then does the loyalty still lie with that neutral party who you met that person through? So if I've been your friend for 5 years and we kick it tough, but I met you through old girl after 10 years, you know, do I cut that person off because now y'all not cool? Or is that case by case basis, or where does that loyalty lie?
I think, and I don't want to make a habit of doing this in this conversation, but I think with some of these things, we have to separate or recognize the differences between males and females. Because if I hear a man saying something like that, like females, in my opinion, I'm sorry if this is generalization, but my experience with females are that they're very territorial, you know what I'm saying, with their best friend, their man, etc. I don't think no dude should be acting like that. You know what I mean? Like, your relationship should be organic. If you mess with a person, you mess with them. If you don't, you don't. And just keep it that simple, no matter how you met a person. You can't control how, you know, God introduced you to an individual that might bring some substance into your life. Because if you're messing with somebody from a friend standpoint or whatever business standpoint, you either have something alike in common that you guys can discuss, you have similar values, or, you know what I mean, similar hobbies. Something has to align for y'all to be kicking it. And that's that. You know what I mean? Some people you're going to meet, you know, Don can introduce Tracy to Brittany, and they kick it because they both kick it at Don's house. But secretly, they both telling Don they don't like the other one. You know what I mean? Because of XYZ. That's cool. But y'all have Don to come and y'all kick it and y'all are cordial when y'all are with Don. Period.
Yeah, but it be some situations though. So if you meet a guy, because even in guys, now granted, women, I will say, I think it's safe to say women are a lot more catty, for lack of better terms, than men. So at some level, yes, women are a lot more territorial. But aside from being territorial when it comes to friends, if you meet a guy through T. Smith and him and T. Smith no longer kick it because, you know, he messed over him maybe on a business venture. You and that person, you and T. Smith, just because we know who that is, you have a very deep relationship with that person. So you would still go kick it with this other person who you knew messed him over? Even if it had nothing to do with you, that's still like, that's your partner.
So everything has to have context. So again, I had this situation seriously with the person that you're kind of referencing. So there's another individual from college that you know what I'm saying, we really cool with. They ended up being roommates at one point, and they had a falling out. And you know, again, you have to take into consideration all things relative. I knew both individuals. I knew how emotional one person could be, and I knew how inconsiderate the other person could be. And so in all things, if you're not there, you got what he said and what he said. The only other person that knows is God. It ain't Jerron. So I can draw my best inference, but I'm going to make the decisions. So with you guys getting into it over something that just is what I would call relational, then I'm able to say, hey, y'all don't like each other no more. I'm still cool with you. I'm still cool with you. If it came to a situation where it's certain things, with this individual, I don't want to make it too complicated, but I'm going to give him a pass because I chose to hang with this cat knowing that normally all my partners, if you ain't down to fight, you know what I'm saying, when something go down, I can't mess with you as no man. You know what I mean? You can't hold your own stone. But with this particular cat, I knew this nigga can't fight. All right? So I wasn't never expecting that from him. So that's the asterisk. I don't expect that from nobody else. But in this particular situation, this person was who I thought they were. So it's cool. But if you have something where, I would say something to wrap it up, something that is a deep character penetration, you know, whether you sleeping with another man's wife, that's supposed to be your partner, stove, it's certain things where I'm going to say, if you did that to him, you'll do that to me, and I can't fool with you.
Oh, we're going to talk about it. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it.
It ain't going to be nothing catty. You know what I mean? It got to be character related to where I'm just like, at 33, I don't want that type of cat in my circle. Got to be something like that. And you know, we could talk for days identifying what those somethings are, but I'm not just mess with somebody.
And he also brings up a point that I don't want us to veer off if anyone has anything else on removing people, or when I break up with you, everybody breaks up with you. Allie, were you going to add something to that?
Okay, so I guess my question would be then, what is considered catty? Because Jerron had I do agree that we do have to make it, or keep in mind like what the context is around each situation, because each situation is different. But what would be considered a catty reason to be upset that your friend or family member is still dealing with someone who you're no longer involved with?
All right. I was trying to be politically correct. I just don't think, again, I'm not judging nobody. I just don't think that a grown-ass man with balls should be operating like that. You know what I'm saying? If a female says that, that's cool, but no man should be like, it's me, I'm going to use my partner's real name. It's me, Travis, and Ricky don't like Donovan, but he mad because I talked to Donovan. Like, what kind of nigga is you? Like, nah, but females, y'all could do that. That's
a girl code. So it's a girl code then. Okay.
Just like with females, if y'all, back in the day, I don't know about us in our 30s, back in the day, if y'all liked the guy, that guy should have been off, you know what I mean? He should be off limits to your homegirls. Real men don't roll like that. You understand? Real men go get what they want. You like her, go get her. You ain't go get her, I can go get her. You know what I mean? Now, once she yours, if we partners, I should respect that. But if you didn't go get her, that's on you. Women is different. That's why I say the gender aspect is relative. You know what I mean? Because we're somewhat very different in how we approach these things.
Okay, so we'll deem that one girl code. So it's a girl code that when I break up with you, everybody break up with you. We done. I agree. Because again, I've had family members who, you know, I have brothers. So I may no longer want a guy around in a certain aspect or a certain type of vibe or just around randomly or whatever. But because those are my brothers and they've built their own relationship with this person through time, that person might be at a barbecue if I pull up, or that person might be at such and such, or, you know, so I can understand that. Okay, well, then that girl code. I have a question though. What kind of code is it that family gets a pass? Because I don't know if it's girl code, guy code, black code, family code. I need to know though. So for example, if someone is your family is a certain type of person that you wouldn't necessarily deal with by choice. If this weren't a person related to you, you wouldn't choose to have that person as family, which in my opinion, family are the people that you choose. Those are the people that are going to be there for you through thick and thin. Those are the people who look out for your best interest. That's what family is. A relative is somebody who is connected to you by bloodline, right? So which code is it where family gets a pass? I need answers.
Me personally, I don't believe family get a pass. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And if you're right, you're right. So I'm just, in that aspect, I don't have to deal with that on a personal tip. And as far as, like, not just like people like cousins or something like that, I'm talking like siblings. Like, my sister don't get a pass. Like, if you out of pocket, you out of pocket. And that's just where I stand. Because if you allow disrespect to continue, you'll continue to be disrespected. So that's just my thought on that.
And I agree. In my opinion, family should be held to a higher standard than anybody else. And so back to kind of what I was saying earlier, when it comes to situations like this that are quickly to become messy or confusing, I think that communication piece is very important. You know, I know that y'all are no longer together. I just wanted to know if it was okay or I wanted to let you know whatever the situation may be. But I think a lot of the times the lines are blurred because people don't communicate after breakups happen. And I don't think family should get a pass either. If anything, they should be the ones, in my opinion, they should be the ones there for you no matter what.
So, but in things that are unrelated to maybe an ex, like just in any situation, not even related to past relationships or other people. So for instance, if you are a person who you wouldn't really want, like you wouldn't deal with a female who is sleeping with other women's husbands. Like you wouldn't choose that person as your friend, right? So if your sister though, she are working on her third husband that ain't hers. I mean, do she get a pass and you just keep fucking with her because that's your sister? Like, that's my blood though. That's my sister. Like, she got my, like, where do you draw those lines in the code of certain morals, I guess, that you live by or things like that? I see Jerron has his hand up, so we're going to let him go and help us out with that one.
Well, I can't help. I got a question. Maybe y'all can help me understand that. Like, so, I mean, we can't re-raise grown folks and we can't control grown folks. So it's a matter of, in my opinion, and I'm trying to see if I understand where you're going. Are you saying that if someone is committing a certain sin or a certain behavior that you don't approve of, because you're using adultery in the sense, you know what I'm saying, a young lady is sleeping with somebody's husband, you're saying that if someone continues to make that mistake and you don't approve of it, should you disassociate with them?
So what I'm asking is, when it comes to like the code, blood is thicker than water. So that's like the code that people would have you live by, in my opinion, that then grants family this pass. In my opinion, that quote itself grants family this pass to behave in any kind of way most of the time. So when we're speaking of that code, blood is thicker than water, where do you draw that line within yourself or within your own morals of how you would live your life for the people that you would choose to have around to then yes. So there's plenty others. So say, for instance, you wouldn't fuck with nobody who you can't leave in your living room with your briefcase out because you knew you stuck $20 and they might take it. So if that's your brother though, do you just keep putting yourself at the family gatherings like with your stuff with him? I mean, now obviously you're not gonna just not maybe go around like your entire family, right? Like there's always exceptions to the rule, but where do we draw that line in the code of blood is thicker than water? And I see Mimi has her hand up. Thanks for joining us, Mimi.
Hi guys. Okay, you'll probably hear my little one in the background. So I've always understood blood is thicker than water to be like a comparison between a family member and perhaps a close friend. If they're quarreling, and you're forced to pick a side, blood is thicker than water, from what I've been understood, just means you would choose the side of that person that's your blood. To answer your question though, where I would draw the line is if that person is toxic in my life, blood or not. So, right, if they're causing me mental anguish regularly or on a very frequent basis, anytime that I'm dealing with that person, if I notice my energy is off when I'm around them or I'm not comfortable around them, even in like a familial setting, I draw the line. Like, I choose my friends, I can't choose my family. So if they choose to do something to encroach on my peace, I don't have to stand for that. And that, I've had to make that decision in life, and it's been a sore subject for family because they feel like, well, that's your sister, that's your sister. My family are those that do the will of the Lord. And when she decided to cut up and mess with me more than once, ain't no pass. Ain't no blood is thicker than water in that case, because water, in this case, maybe my sorority sisters, my friends, are closer to me than my blood sister, because I had to draw that line.
Yep, my sentiments exactly. Good. Anybody else have a code that they live by in any circumstance? Your God codes that you hold your friends accountable for, your friends, your family, as other Black people. Right now, I think you got one, Mimi? Okay, let's go.
Don't call me or text me or send me a screenshot of something you saw my ex doing. I don't care. I don't care. And what you're implying is that you're not respecting the fact that I have either chosen to move on or I'm trying to move on. You're trying to hold me back by showing me he got whatever the case may be. He just bought a house or he got a new girl. I don't care. I don't care. And in the same breath, I'm not going to tell you if I see your ex out doing something. Like, I'm respecting the fact that you're trying to move on, and that has caused problems. You know, a friend of mine has been like, oh, well, you saw him with her? Yeah. Ain't y'all not together no more? What difference does it make? It wasn't my business when I saw him with her. I figured it wasn't your business. Like, no, I wasn't going to come back and tell you for what. You shouldn't be policing your ex, and I'm not going to help you do that petty mess.
So I know that we talked about how women have a different way of looking at things. I know Jerome mentioned that earlier. But in this case, it applies for guys too. Now, you might not get a text. You might not get a screenshot or a picture, because that's what women do. We can screenshot or catch that little low vibe picture or whatever real quick. But guys do it too. So they'll see an ex out somewhere and then come report back that they saw that ex. So what's that like, guys that are on the call, when your homeboy come telling you how they saw your ex and what she looked like or who she was with and what she was Guys do it too. I done heard it before.
I'm gonna say this. To me, it wouldn't bother me. I feel like that's part of people's nature. Like, people are just gonna do that. So to me, it would depend on how you feel about the situation, or how people are gonna react. But I wouldn't care. Be like, oh, okay, appreciate that, bro. And just keep it rolling. It wouldn't. I don't get too caught up in it. Maybe that's just me. It ain't gonna bother me. If I done moved on, I done moved on. So it ain't even gonna bother me in no sense.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. I actually don't. I think this one is just neutral to people, because I have had this done before. I think sometimes I don't really care for it. I never personally done it myself, but I think sometimes people do it. They're kind of projecting their feelings. Like maybe they felt like your ex moved on too quickly, or maybe they identify with the fact that your ex did you wrong. And so they might sin with their new person and they feel validated because the new person is uglier or, bummy or whatever the case may be. And that's just what your friends do. But you also got to watch that shit sometimes, because it's a sneak diss in there sometimes where a friend is trying to see how you going to react. You understand? And that person, in my 30s, I've been watching them little nuggets to see if that person really my goddamn friend or not.
Hell no. So I have one that in the midst of trying to gather, little codes here and there. Someone said that if your friend talked to somebody, you should never talk to them. That's a code.
That's the one I was going to say next. I agree.
But what you mean by talk to, though? I need answers.
So if I have expressed interest in a person, if I have...
But did they have interest in you back?
I was getting there, DawnTheDoll. So if I express interest in a person, so express interest, something has happened, there has been communication between the two of us, whether it was exclusive dating or not. I feel like my friend should not be, even after things end, pursue the person, even if the person pursues them. I just feel like they're automatic.
Is there a time limit on that?
I feel like they're off limits. I feel like we don't need to share men.
Now I can absolutely agree with the we don't need to share men. I can absolutely agree with that. But what if you never had them to share? Like, the shit that I'm finna experience, you never had to experience that. I see Mimi got something. Hold on.
I need to shut my mouth wide open because I have definitely been in a position where I told somebody, it's too many men out here. Why you got to mess with him? Me and him used to talk. And she was like, okay, but like, how far did it go? And I popped. What difference does it make? If you my friend, whether we talked, kissed, slept together, whatever, go find somebody else. It's been about 10 years since I did that. And if I'm really being honest, looking back, I was just salty because he didn't want me. And I'm not saying you are. I'm speaking for myself. I was salty because it didn't work out with he and I, or he didn't want me back. And the very thought of him possibly wanting her, I couldn't stomach it. So I'm going to guilt trip her into not doing it. So that being said, my position has since changed. Like, he wasn't yours. It would be my response. Like, he just wasn't yours. You expressed an interest. You talked to him. He talked to you. Whatever. Y'all weren't married. Y'all don't have no kids. He wasn't nothing to you. Because, like, there is no covenant in dating. Like, there's absolutely no covenant in talking. Y'all went nothing, if that's the case. And so he's free to move on. And, you know, two people are friends. I'm friends with people who I have something in common with. Whether we see, you know, we have something in common, right? And oftentimes we think the same valuable qualities in a man are valuable qualities. You know, we might not be pursuing the same man, but we can agree that I like a man with this, I like a man with that. That being said, it's not out of the realm of possibilities for two people to end their situationship and a friend has an interest, or he has an interest in a friend. So what's for you is for you. Let him go on. He might do her bad too. And if he doesn't and he's matured and grown and he does her well, wish them well. But what's for you will be for you. So let that man and let that female talk to whoever they want, would be my position on the matter.
I just need to know, is it a time limit, right? Like, do I gotta wait like a certain number of years, or not that? First of all, first and foremost, let me make the disclaimer that DawnTheDoll is not out to share no men's with her exes. Is way too many of them. I'm not interested in it. No, none of that. But is there a time limit on it? Because seriously, if I dated somebody back in high school, I mean, I'm 32 now. So if I see one of my homegirls then date him, like, or not even somebody who's like really close to me, but just someone who I would see out in public and be really cool with, do I now like shade her because we was super cool? Like, even though we haven't talked in 2 years and me and him was 5 years ago, like, we was super cool when we were cool. Like, how does that work? Because again, those are two grown people, and that obviously wasn't meant for either one of us. So
I think very, like what Jerron has said multiple times, I think we have to take into consideration context. So for me, I'm thinking the question that was posed, like, I'm thinking a close friend or someone who I associate with on a kind of regular basis. I have dated someone, it did not work out for us. And then my close friend / someone who I associate with on a regular basis is now dating this guy who things didn't work out with us. So in my mind, I have these things going through my mind, like, okay, so were you looking at him the whole time we were together? You know, so it to me, it's just something that would not sit right with me about that. And maybe it'll come with maturity, but I don't think so. Yes, it didn't work out between us, but I just feel like you can go a little bit further outside of your friend group or your immediate friend group to find somebody to date, or immediate friend group who your friend has dated to find someone to date.
I absolutely agree. I guess another question that I have that goes into that would be, if you meet someone that you didn't know dealt with your friend previously, if I'm friends with Allie and I didn't know that you dealt with someone 5 years ago, and I meet him not knowing that you dealt with him, and now I'm completely involved with him, do I then have to cut that off to respect my friend in that boundary? Or how does that work when not dealing with someone that your friend dealt with?
Couple things I'll add on that to try to answer that. Number one, how close are you with this friend if y'all haven't talked in enough time for you to be getting kind of attached to this individual? At least that's the way I'm understanding it by the way you're explaining it. So that's number one. Number two, it could be on you. It could be, do you get attached entirely too quickly? You know what I mean? And those would be the things I would have to know to have to try to answer that. How close is this person? Just a best friend, or is it just an associate? Because I got different rules for what I call my clique than I do an associate. You know what I mean? And then I have to always respect my own ego. You know what I mean? Don't set yourself up for failure.
I guess I just feel like kind of what Mimi was saying, like, if me and this person are no longer dealing with each other, we're over, we're done. If that's not for me and I've moved on with my life, then what do I care who he's talking to? He's not my headache anymore. Whatever I went through with him, good luck with it. Like, you know, he's not my deal anymore. So who that friend is, how long, a lot of this is in context, but as far as, you know.
So what I'm interested to ask the ladies is, you know, how do y'all feel? Because in my experience, I can only speak from my experience. In my experience, women respond, you know, it depends on the quality of the guy. And that sounds really arrogant to say. But if he had real good D, it's kind of like, you didn't like him like that, but you kind of cool with your homegirl trying to stick out? Or is it all relative to how much you like the guy? You know what I mean?
None of my friends gonna talk to none of my exes, period. And I ain't fucking with none of y'all who
we ain't talking about exes. We talking
I talked
about
to them. I liked them.
Okay.
Any of that? No, none of that.
All right, there you go.
I don't care how big or how small, how much motion in whatever ocean. I've been with Allie the whole time, but you know, for sake of the platform, you know. I see that Vincent got something for us. I'm assuming that's the hand up that you're not gonna put where I can see it privately. It's all right. Come on, Vincent.
What's up, everybody? I think when it comes to stuff like that, I think people should let it go because people own property. I think that's the biggest thing, and I think a lot of women stress, I don't want to be treated like a possession or a material type of thing. So when y'all do move on, it's time to move on. It's like, let people go. Whether you want to talk to them or whether you don't want your friend to talk to them or not, just really try to dig deep and understand why you don't want them to. And if you look at it, you can't find no valid reasons other side than you don't want them to, which I think a lot of people can't find any other reason, is then let it go. Because it's all, at the end, it's just your ego bruised. Just like she said, her feelings was hurt because dude wanted her more than other dude. Other than, to be honest, it kind of worked out for the best. You may know, I've talked to a girl that I know that my friend was probably better for her. So if it did happen, it was like, oh, okay, cool. That's nice. That worked out for y'all. But we just don't mesh like that. I'm mad if you move on and talk to somebody else. I want the homie to hit you. Shit, I can't get it. I want the homie to tell me about it, to be honest. What? Silly, why you shaking your head at me?
I'm going to move to a whole code on that. You can't kiss and tell. That's a code right there.
Yeah, right. Y'all kiss and tell. Y'all group chats is filthy.
Let's talk about it. What's up with the kissing and telling? Jerron at 3 for a loop. What's up? Help her out.
Bro, we ain't gonna go.
Vincent, we can't hear you. I'm gonna mute you and let you get back to us. We can't hear you.
All right.
So the code on the floor is no kissing and telling. Wait a minute, bruh. That's what y'all do? That's guy code right there. You get it, and then you go report back. That's guy code. That's how y'all do.
Don't everybody get quiet at once.
We females in the studio need answers. We need answers.
We want to know. Help us. Jerron, come on.
Donnie, Vincent already let us know. Vincent, I'm about to unmute you so you can keep giving us this knowledge right here, letting us know the guy code. So that way we understand moving forward. Sis, if he don't want you, he's just waiting on the homeboy to get you so he can know how to live vicariously through homeboy.
We probably should move on to another topic.
That's what we should do? Got it. Okay. Anybody? I know that voice. All right. Do we have any other codes that people would like to introduce? I have a couple of more, but any codes that y'all live by, silent codes of respect that you hold your friends, business network, your family, anything like that?
I don't have another code, but I do have like a very like serious question in in regards to the code that we just talked about. Not dating or dealing with anybody who your friend has dealt with. And if anybody can answer this question just to help me understand better. So if we are putting it into the context of someone who you talk to on a regular basis or someone who you consider, fairly close to you, would you then feel comfortable having conversations? Because me and my homegirls, we have conversations all the time, dealing with, have dealt with. So it's like, you can't hear me?
We heard you and your homegirls have conversations all the time about
our relationships, the people who we, whether it's previous relationships or current relationships. So my question is, would y'all feel comfortable if your friend is dating someone? And I guess this is for everybody. Would you feel comfortable talking to your friend about a person who they're currently dating, a person who you previously dated? If we're at the point where we're okay with our friends dating our ex-boyfriends or someone who we were previously involved with, like, what do those conversations look like?
I would.
Or do they happen?
I would, but I think kind of piggybacking off the point I made earlier where context is key. In this one, I would say personality is key. So you got to kind of know, you got to kind of know your friend and know how to approach that situation. Because I know with me, I'm very blunt and direct. So I know people that I've been friends with for years at this point, even though they're asking me a question, I have enough, God has given me enough, discernment to where I'm kind of like, I know they don't really want to know what I think on that. You know what I mean? And in today's age, I'll ask them, like, hey, you sure you want to know that? Especially when I have, for example, me personally, it goes back again to associates versus friends. I'm not going to make exclusive any female that my partner done hit. But I got some partners that will, right? And I'm not judging them. You understand? But if you've made that decision to go get with a girl that I didn't handle it in a respectful way, I just hit or she hit me, however you want to look at it, and we kept pushing, then you got to accept what comes with that. So if you asking me anything from my dealings, again, no disrespect to ladies on the call, but I'm looking at you like a man. You ask that question like a man, I'm going to answer like a man. You need to be able to handle it. And that's just me. I do understand everybody doesn't have that approach. I can't give you any insight on how to deal with it from a female perspective, but from a man perspective, I just take it head on. I do take the person's personality into account, as I said a few moments ago, but I'm still going to give it to you real. This was my experience with said female. This is what she showed me her character to be, blah, blah, blah.
So you said you're not going to gal any female that your friend has hit, right? Be honest with me, because I want to know. Is that out of respect for your friend, or because you already have a tainted perception of her character based on the fact that your friend hit?
Hey, is it Mimi?
Yeah.
That you said? All right. I mean, I try really hard not to judge anybody. So for me, just keeping all the way 100 with you is based off my ego. Ain't nobody I ain't worried about this other man's size. I got what I got. But ain't nobody finna be able to tell me how my woman feels that I'm cool with. No, sir. That's just me. How I'm not with.
What do you mean how she feels? Physically or like her emotions?
Nah, I'm talking about the physical. The emotions.
Why would a friend of yours come and tell you about that?
Because niggas trifling.
So I say that because unless a man has set the standard, I'm only marrying a virgin. Know that every woman that you encounter, especially the woman that you will marry, have children with, continue your legacy with, somebody has hit, myself included. Mm-hmm. I'm someone's wife, a mother, about to be a mother again. Somebody has hit before my husband. He's aware of that. But I wonder what life would be like if he had this notion, man, I know somebody that, he doesn't, but he could. I'm from Houston. If he were from Houston, it's possible, right? He could know somebody that has hit. If he just wrote me off, like I'm not worthy of him making a commitment to or growing a life with, because somebody hit. I would just admonish you to not do that, right? Because unless she's a virgin, someone has, and that doesn't mean, that really doesn't speak to her character. There's so many other things
I don't think that Jerron
weed
was
out
saying.
a hoe or just a promiscuous woman.
He's not talking. I don't think he's. Wait, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I don't think Jerron was saying it like. I don't think we look at it as she has to be a virgin. But my best friend that I've been knowing from second grade, if he hits you, I can't be with you. Like, we can be drinking one night. Like, man, she put it on me the other night. He's like, yeah, man, I know. What? Like, no, we're gonna have a whole problem. But all of these somebodies that you have had in your life, if your husband is not friends with him, if he is not like a clique friend, he could be an associate. But like his main dude, the person that he talks to about everything, no, I don't think anybody would actually want that.
You don't want that shared experience. I don't want that. That's not something I want to bind over. I don't want to bind over my lady. I do not want to. I don't want to talk to my homeboy, but yeah, bro, she sucked. Yeah, I taught her that, bro. Then we got to fight. We're no longer friends. No, thank you.
Y'all don't want Eskimo brothers. That's what.
It's you know what I'm saying. We ain't finna share. No, that's opposite the train etiquette. I don't know. That's you might as well be there whenever we do. We do. No, not as friends. Now, if it's a stranger and I don't know about this man, I don't know shit about this man. I thank him for whatever he taught you because I don't know him. But if I know this nigga, it's a mental thing because now it's just when we out and we come in, we step in, he like, damn, I did have that before. I don't want my friend to feel like that, to have that kind of mental power on me. That's all.
It's not so much. It's an insecurity. I think it's a valid insecurity, though. That's all.
That's cool. I'm a flow with that one. I can't get rid of all of them.
Sounds very, very egotistical.
There you go. Hold on.
Hold on. Because there's a double standard. This is a double standard.
Hold on. All right. So hey, listen. All right. So now that we ain't got it going, I just want everybody, okay, if you have something to add to the conversation, let me pause everybody because I can hear it on my end because I'm recording it. So if you have something to add to the conversation, if you could please just use the raise your hand feature. That way I can keep everybody in order. I acknowledge people very rapidly through the raise your hand, so it goes in order. So if you want to add to it, unless it's like a very quick something, it'll pick up feedback. So just use the raise your hand button and I got y'all. Okay. So Jerron got the floor, but I do agree it does sound very egotistical. Jerron, approach that ego.
All right. So I didn't hide from it, ladies. Being the Aries that I am, I said it loud and clear. I was clear about who I am. So I disagree with Brandon's comment that it's an insecurity. It's an insecurity if you are worried about who your woman has slept with. If you're asking her dumbass questions like who she been with, this, that, and the third. But if it's known knowledge, because you had a conversation with your compadre that, hey, you know back in the day at Cullen Oaks, I used to knock such and such off, and now you're choosing to gal her, you need to, we got this thing in law called the assumption of the risk. All right? You are cool with that. And like I said, no shade on guys that are cool with that. But I know who I am and who my ego is. And as my boy said, ain't nobody that I'm cool with gonna be able to tell me, Dunn do that one thing with her tongue, nigga, like, ooh, that's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Not nobody in my circle. You feel me? If associates or whatever, I can handle that. But my best friends, day ones, no, sir. Call it what you want. It's not insecurity, it's ego, 100%. Know what you can handle. Know yourself. I know me.
What's the risk they're assuming?
They assuming that when y'all walk into the cookout, he gonna look at that ass and have them flashbacks. He ain't just looking and acknowledging your woman's fineness or her beautifulness or whatever. He thinking about what that mouth do. He thinking about what that ass do. Especially if it was a good encounter. No, sir. I'm not with that. Now I gotta fight you. Now I got to cut you.
All right, now we're gonna let Allie say something.
I guess I'm confused. How is it that y'all are, based off of what we've heard, how is it that we're okay with our friend possibly talking to someone who we've talked to, but then when we involve sex, it becomes a totally different conversation? How does that work? If y'all could just clarify for me how that works. Because Vincent said earlier, if I know that my homeboy is better for her than I was, and if I wasn't shit to her and then cool. But then if it's the same situation, and sex is added or sex is within the equation, then it's off limits. We no longer. Oh, go ahead, Vincent. Okay, I'm done. I just need clarification.
I think it come down to, and it's not it's the thing. What you asking is, if we was first, we don't give a fuck. But if I'm coming behind and I'm being a friend, I don't want to know about that. But if she not good for me and I already did what I did, cool, that's fine. But I'm not gonna go behind nobody and talk to nobody else. I don't care, but I'm just not gonna be second. Now, if you first, it's a difference. If I get to it, I'm like, I done had it, boom, cool, whatever, and we going on about our business. Now, it's a different thing if I'd have had this girl before, we stopped talking, you start talking to my friend, and I go back, oh, then I can handle that because I had it first. That's my whole thing. I think a lot of people
No. How the hell? Wait, how did work? And I got a thumbs up on that? How did work? Oh, okay, raise it. Oh, okay, got it. All right, because I got a thumbs up and a clap. That was meant to be a raise my hand. All right, I'm not going to say your name then because I don't want people to thank you right here like that. But, all right, yeah, how that work out? Hold on, we got somebody on the floor.
Once again, I would stand on that ego and insecurities. I think they go hand in hand. Insecurities can drive a high ego, a large ego. You look suckers. Whatever. That's the truth of it. But not necessarily. But I understand where all the men are coming from. Okay, I came here a little bit later, but the focus of I don't want to be in a conversation with my homeboys knowing they've been with my main gal or my wife. I do not want to picture that, remember that. I don't want him to slip up and say something incorrectly because as Jerron was saying, we're going to have a miscommunication. We're going to have to hash that out right now, but it never could be hashed out because that's future. And that is an insecurity. Not to say I'm thinking something is going to happen between them again. It's just the fact of the matter is it's an insecurity. That's how I look at it. Somebody I know personally being inside someone I care greatly for. Now, if it's somebody I'm not that in tune with, someone I want to be with, I don't give a fuck. Have y'all fun, live your life, do your thing. But same thing, and that's the love language I think a lot of men have, is something about being physical. Now, women, y'all may have something about, well, if a guy bought your homegirl a brand new car, which instead of having sex, maybe it's something about being a purchase, or it wrote them a poem. She put on the streets. Hey, man, at a point, the streets is how they raised us. Hey, we the same way, man.
These hoes for everybody, that's what y'all saying. That's a code. These hoes for everybody.
Just strap up. Stay sanitized and moisturized, man. Be careful out here.
Get tested, people.
For real. Q-tip and all. Blood, you name it.
Exactly. All right. Do we have any other codes that we want to bring up for topic, or do we have anything else on that one before we move? Don, you want to help us out?
I just want to say I don't think anybody wants to deal with that constant elephant in the room. I think that's where it really comes down to. Like, every time you bring shorty around, y'all might be soulmates, but it's that constant. Every time y'all around, especially that's your boy, like y'all gonna constantly kick it. It's that constant elephant in the room, and I think even vice versa, even with a woman, if you know that all right, he been over there with her, it's like every time y'all come in the room, you're gonna feel weird. You might not want them to be in the room together, or you might not even intentionally, but subconsciously, you might not even leave the room just because of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's that constant dealing with that elephant.
I will say though, in the spirit of calling females very on in the conversation catty, very early on, I will say that I am happy that I have men on this call willing to speak to the ego of a man, simply because I think in this case, for me, I just felt like in any situation where a woman were to walk into a room or have to be put in a situation so that might be the case, even if it was her friend, I guess our mindset will be more on the actions of who we're with, because we will be looking for them to more prove it, like where their current alliance lies. We will be looking for our man to then prove to us like why we were that ultimate choice versus a man who can't even take it, if that makes sense. Because pretty much that's what I hear, the man ego, like that is something that is very hard to take. Like knowing that somebody else knocked your girl down, like that's something very hard to then have to stand in the same room with this. Okay, okay, no, that ain't it. Okay, well, explain it to me. Who going first? I got it.
The way you said it, it's been in a room with some men that know that knocked your girl down. No, it's someone that I'm close to, someone I'm friends with, another man that I have a relationship with. That's where I'm like, nah. And we've had situations with my circle of friends that me and my guys, we're young. We're going to toss some woman up, okay? Young female. It was going to be a night. Crazy party, afterwards we swung through, woo, woo, woo. And I will never forget this day in my life. Me and my homeboys were talking about it because half of us went out to one spot and the other one went out to another side. We went to do different after parties. And the next day we talked. It was like a 3-4-way, 5-way, before we had Zoom and shit. And, we both said, man, I got something to tell you. The other one's like, we got something to tell you. We still going back and forth. And we're like, okay, you go first. We go first. And the guy said, man, I think I'm in love. And we're like, what? Love? You crazy, man. This is like our junior, senior year in high school. Man, he like, love. And we're like, man, what's her name? And he said her name. We were it was like, we still don't know to this day. We can't, because I know.
So let me get, wait. No. We missed that Jared's business. Now, you ain't got to put nobody's business out there, but what I'm gathering from this story is that you and your partners tossed some chick, and then y'all found out that was y'all boy chick, and y'all don't have a heart to tell him because that's the love of his life.
No. We didn't toss up. We're about to toss up. Like, it was like, out of 1 to 10, it was maybe a 6.
Sis, you barely made it out of there. If you one of my listeners, you barely made it out of there, sis.
But the thing about it is like, if our homeboy didn't tell us this big picture, and I would say that's a problem on us, but they ain't together. That was a long time thing. But it was like, it would crush them. And it would have been like mad. And, we didn't I just kept it moving and think nothing of it. But we know that individual has high insecurities as well. And it's like, do we protect his feelings? Tell him what's up? Thankfully they weren't together. Things come out to be the truth later on in life. But like, you don't want to have that feeling like, because he's in love, he's happy. But as soon as he found out his boy is about to go in, he would have looked at that woman completely different.
So that kind of brings me to another kind of code that might be out there. If an incident takes place, and again, this all goes to context. Everything has to be put into some type of context. We can come up with a million different scenarios for each one of these contexts. But in a situation, if there's an instance that something happens and you don't really think anything of it, you feel like you handled yourself appropriately, when it comes to your friends, do you need to then let that information be known to your friends, or do you just keep it moving because you don't think nothing of it, like the situation that we just kind of heard about? We just gonna keep it moving. I see a lot of people like, nah, nigga, I got too many skeletons. We ain't even going there. I'm gonna just keep them. To myself. Okay. Does anybody? Oh, okay.
I don't have much to say on it, but I would speak on it. And I don't know if you're speaking directly to a situation similar to what Brandon just described, or if you're speaking to because I've had situations where I've been in a room with like my partner girl, and like she said something that was inappropriate. You know what I mean? Because I hit one of her friends, and I had to tell my guy about it. And I've been in that situation with a real dude, and I've been in that situation with what I would refer to as a bitch nigga. The real dude respected what I was saying. He talked to his girl. The bitch nigga, he got some kind of way with me, as if I had did something wrong. You know what I mean? When I was just kind of letting him know, hey, this is the character of your lady. When you're not around, she's kind of interested in other ding-dings. That kind of situation. So me, I'ma always tell. That's what I would want. If I was in a situation with Brandon now, don't let me wife up the choo-choo girl. Tell me. You know what I'm saying? No, sir.
She's not the choo-choo girl.
Yes, she is.
And don't look at me like I'm a choo-choo girl because I ain't never been a choo-choo girl. But he said they got to a 6. He did not hit.
Nah, I am not disrespectful like that. That ain't what I'm saying. But I ain't gonna go there.
I have a question. Okay, where does it come from as far as in like boundaries? I feel like when it comes to a point where, okay, like Jerron, I think what you just said in regards to, if this is the character of your lady outside of when you're around, what if it's just a matter of she's just a friendly person? I feel like we see all the time where men are overly friendly and they knowing they in these different type of relationships or whatever it is. So what are the, I guess, kind of codes or standards when it comes to what boundaries are? Because that could just be her personality where she's a friendly person or whatever. I mean, granted, if she making some type of insertions of like, I'm trying to have sex with you and that ain't her man, then that's a different story. But I feel like we see that all the time where people are just friendly, or you have women that address men as, hey, hun, hey, sweetie, or whatever it is. So it's like, what is the standard or the boundaries in regards to that?
All right. So right before I will let Jerron take the floor, I will make it a code that I feel that I kind of live by. If we're dating and we're out, you don't call other women by pet names. Period, point blank. I'm not with it. Short of something, just in today's world, queen might be acceptable. But short of that, things like babe, sweetie, cutie, anything of that nature, I feel like should be off limits. That's a code I live by. I'm getting told that's an insecurity, but I'm going to let Jerron take the floor because he has his hand.
All right, straight to the point. Grown folks know what they doing, right? You need to know your female. I've dated females, you know what I mean? I like them crazy. I had this one chick, she didn't even want me hugging chicks. You understand me? So I had to know if I was in that relationship with her, if I do something like that, she's going to be pissed off. You just need to know your mate. But as far as, compliment somebody, if you keep it respectful, if I were to say, Don, I've known Don since college. If I were to say, Don, I really like your hair, you look nice. I don't see why my woman or her man should be plexed by that. You understand? I didn't say anything sexual. I gave a sister a compliment. You know what I mean?
But you also didn't say, hey, babe, you look nice. Like, no. That's, again, when you add pet name, giving someone a compliment or being nice to someone, being cordial with someone, and to be quite honest, just as a human being in nature, when you have a physical, you see someone attracting to them, I think is very different from you using pet names to address someone who you don't know. I'm going to let everything take the floor.
I'm one of those people. My wife and I, we both had those. We used to call people boo all the time. I call women darling, and we never had an issue about it, no qualms about the situation. And we know, since we're both natural flirts, both, and, Dron been knowing me since high school. So it's been like that, but it's nothing negative, but that's the comfort. We're comfortable with each other and we communicate with each other and we have that respect for one another. You can have the look or how we behave, but once again, these are just, you got to have a good line of communication in a relationship. As long as you state these things beforehand or throughout, it's going to be helpful. But I wanted to go back one time, just a little bit, if you don't mind, Don. Okay. Because we were talking about this, speaking and telling that was my homeboy really wanted to do something and something in danger. I understand. I would tell him that, but if nothing really went off, maybe that may be his happiness and joy. And that was his happiness and joy for some time. But I'm going to put Jerron out for a situation that he didn't mean to tell me, but he told me, but I would never forget. And it was it was my senior year. Junior year, maybe, whatever, but it was a young woman that I was secretly courting. Yeah, I wasn't trying to make a big deal out of it. And me and Jerron shared the same class, and Jerron was talking to one of our other friends, and they were talking together. I'm doing my work like a young student should be doing. And Jerron said, man, you hear so-and-so got an STD. And I'm like shocked, because that's the young woman I am talking to, and not even talking to. That's the one I am flying and doing things with and things. And my heart just sunk to my stomach.
I bet.
And now Yeah, but it was another guy like, shut up. That's his, he knocking it down. I like, no, Jerron, speak your mind. I mean, this is in the middle of the class. I'm like, you need to say it now. You need to say it now. He like, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know. Woo, woo, woo. I'm like, no, we deal with it. And kind of went to get tested for the first time in my life. I didn't have anything, thank you, Jesus. But little things like that, he didn't want to communicate it. Cause we weren't hanging like that tough back then, but I respect for them communicating that with me right then that day. No, it's wrong, Jerron. Just little chit chats men have. You can call it gossiping. That saved my life, I would say. If I would probably kill somebody if I would have had something. You probably never remember it, man, but I would never forget that day in Miss Bahani's class. Yes.
Uh-oh. Somebody's going to be listening. Y'all know this is an international podcast, right? She's going to be listening overseas with her new husband like, I had that class. You know that teacher?
I've talked about it on my podcast. I do not mind. Like, I'm going to stand on that.
Cool. Okay, so are there any other codes that anyone lives by that they can think about? I see everything. You got something for us?
Snitching.
I just hate snitching.
I know, and it's a code. I know, and I'm not talking about like the streets code of snitching. I'm talking about minding your motherfucking business snitching. If I'm not with Karen, if I'm not bothering you, I'm not bringing any type of peace. I'm not messing up your money. You just feel bothered by how I'm living my life and what I'm doing, and you just want to go and speak out or go. Like if I take an hour lunch and you took a 30-minute lunch and you feel like for whatever reason you took an hour and you go and try to report something to HR, someone like me, that is snitching. I hate that shit. That's a code I live by. If it's not bothering anyone, why are you kicking up fuss? Why are you kicking up dirt? That's the code I live by. Mind your motherfucking business. Oh, dude, can I curse on here?
Yeah, she said we can say light cuss words. So I don't know if MF is light. But no, I definitely want to backdoor on some of the things Brandon was talking about. I do not remember that story. I do remember Miss Bahani's class, but I don't remember that story. But before we gave the floor to Brandon, what I was trying to finish touching on, very near and dear to my heart, is that I just think that grown folks know what they're doing. Brandon explained it eloquently. You need to have that understanding in your relationship, or you need to get one when the incident happens. Y'all need to talk about it and work through it. Me personally, I'm situational. I'm an Aries. I'm flirtatious. So I'm situational. If I know what I can say to a person and it'd be cool and they understand I'm not trying to get their booty. And, you know, other people, if I don't know, I don't test it. You know what I mean? I don't do that in today's world, definitely. But going back to her question, just to wrap it up on boundaries, I think, again, I know for a fact, I want to brag on Brandon's marriage. They have great communication skills, him and his wife. So, again, boundaries need to be communicated. I've dated a girl before that had an expectation that I shouldn't have female friends, but she didn't communicate that. So anytime I talk to a female, you know what I mean? And I was living in Houston at the time, but I knew a lot of people from Dallas and a lot of people from Tyler because I'm from East Texas. So I'm telling her, like, I know a gang of women and I'm easy to talk to. Women like talking to me. That does not mean that I'm sleeping with all these women. She didn't give a damn. She felt that there was only room for one queen in the castle. You know what I mean? And I had to let her go because, again, she didn't communicate them expectations. So I think the boundaries are all going to become, you know, from that talking stage, you need to be really putting out what you want, need, and desire at that time to set the boundaries.
I'm going to go with the snitching code. I kind of take that back as well to what Mimi said earlier. I feel like if you see somebody I used to deal with, or you see a girl that you know I don't like out in the streets and all that, and then you come reporting back, I feel like that's still dry snitching. I feel like it's the same kind of concept. Like, I maybe unmuted you, so I feel like it's the same kind of thing.
How is it going to help? If you going out telling me you saw my person I don't get along with, we have qualms with one another, how is that coming telling me it's going to help? Now, if they speaking out on my name or saying something disrespectful towards me, I would have thank you for letting me know. But two, did you say anything? That's the other thing I'll look at it as well.
Yeah, so with the dry snitching, who else lives by that code? And do you have anything to add to the snitching code?
No, I agree. I completely agree with snitching. Even down to the point of we're not talking about street codes snitching. We're talking just simply about minding your business, drinking your water, and being black. Like, that's all you gotta do. If it is not impeding on anything directly with you, hurting you, harming you in any type of way, just mind your business, Karen. So, I agree. I agree with y'all for the first time in 15 minutes.
All right. We got an agreement on the table. Commercial break pause with Concrete and Blossom Podcast. What up, everyone? It's DawnTheDoll, creator and host of Concrete and Blossom Podcast. And if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's everything you need in one place. It's free. You record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will then distribute it for you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Make money with no minimum listenership required. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And don't forget to subscribe to Concrete and Blossom Podcast on all listening platforms. So, just with that being said, I just want to ask, has everybody been okay with all the Karens that are out lately? Has everybody been doing good when it comes to just living in today's world with all of the high racial tensions and all of that kind of stuff? Does anybody have a code there? Because I do, which is why I brought it up. So my code is, and this is kind of on the woman's side, I don't think men deal with this nearly as much, and maybe just in a different tone, more from an ego standpoint. And I think y'all will feel me when I say it. I think a code should be, if you're a black woman, you're a black woman, and it doesn't matter your shade. Because to be quite honest with you, being of the lighter skin tone my entire life, I felt it from both sides, meaning I felt it from black girls, and I've also felt it from the off-brand people, because if you ain't black, you off-brand in my opinion. So when it comes to my own people, I'm going to need girls to live by this code moving forward. If I'm a black woman, I'm a black woman, and I need you to respect me as such and not think that just because I'm light-skinned, I think I'm on the white pedestal. I don't know what it is, but first, we're going to let Jerron take the floor, and then we're going to keep it going. We'll see if we're going to add on after that.
All right, so real quick, I just wanted to respect your experience, but say that I disagree with that. It's not a guy thing. The name is colorism, and I've experienced it hardcore. And what's crazy, no disrespect to you, Dunn, but when I hear it from females, I get some kind of way, because I'd be like, I experienced it first from females. Females that I was trying to holler at, you know, I was too dark for them. They wanted these pretty little yellow niggas. You understand? And then from a societal standpoint, I hate it when real quick, let's take Steph Curry, let's take LeBron James, right? A lot of people hate on LeBron. LeBron is a family man. He got kids. He been with the same woman. Steph Curry, family man. He got kids, been with the same woman. Both MVPs, both champions. So why does Steph get so much praise and LeBron gets so much hate? It's because he's dark-skinned. He's 6'8". He's threatening. Steph is seen as a non-threatening individual because he's light-skinned or fair-skinned. Those are facts. I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm saying that it's not just a black thing. Society thrusts this upon us. You understand? So it's a real thing for both sections. And I'll just leave it at that.
Hey, thank you, Jerron. Like, thank you, brother. Like, I can't tell you how much I really appreciate that. Like, and Don, once again, greeting you, Brandon, Mr. D713, whatever he called me. But he was speaking on exactly what I was going for. He started with the first time he experienced it was from a woman. Same thing. Not only that, from a woman, experience from women in my family. Okay. And I have light-skinned people in my family. I have brown-skinned people in my family. I got dark-skinned people in my family. Colorism still exists in my family. I can have a niece that's born dark-skinned and another one born, light-skinned with hazel eyes. And they would, oh my God, this baby's so beautiful, this, and that. And I'm like, you have 2 new grandbabies. What the fuck you talking about? And Scott, sorry. Okay, you have 2 grandberries, baby. What are you talking about? But it happens all around, and it happens within women. And you may not know it because, when you're speaking from your own perspective, but I really want to hear from our dark-skinned women that's in this chat. Because did you grow up and when you call certain names, when you disrespected, did they talk about your hair? Did they talk about being teased? Did you see women that are of fair complexion being treated differently than you were? I saw these things as a man, and I was like in the middle, but I remember that whole dark skin versus light skin debate. I hated that. Like right when I left my hometown, I we need to stop doing that stuff, but it happens.
So I'm gonna let Sylvia take the floor, but I will just say that it definitely is enlightening for me to hear from men who have kind of felt that same thing of colorism, because me being a woman, I did feel it my whole life. None of the off-brand girls of any kind wanted to deal with me because I was black, period, point blank. And my black girls and anything darker than myself, it was, oh, you the light-skinned girl, so you must think you all that. You got the light-skinned pretty hair, so you must be this kind of way. So yeah, it is really enlightening just for me to hear that men experience that too on some type of level. Sylvia, what you got for us?
So, I think we all know that us as oppressed people. And so it's just been a cycle of that. And, obviously it comes from slavery days where you got the darker skin in the field and you got the lighter in the house. And so, I feel like we're slowly trying to come out of that and understanding, okay, yes, we are all Black people. We all have these same struggles or whatever. And I can't say, I'm brown skinned. I can't really say that I've experienced too much of oh, you too dark or whatever. But I will say, I know that I have had experiences. I remember one time, granted, I was in middle school or whatever, but I was dating this guy, and I remember he put up a poll between me and this light skinned girl. Everybody wanted her because she was light skinned, because she was loud, because she was whatever it was. And he put up a poll of me and her and was which one is better? Oh yeah, go with the light skinned girl. Da, 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 da. So it's I feel like we all experience it from any different angle, from male, female, whatever it is. And it just comes down to a point of where we just have to get that out of our mind, that colorism of that, one skin tone is better than the other. I feel like now in the mainstream media, we just now getting to the point where we are accepting of brown skin or darker skin tones and things like that. So I think we're slowly coming around to it, but it's just a thing that has trickled down, and just oppression that just oppress people. And that's where it just kind of comes from. And I think it just takes a matter of us trying to continue to unite and then reshift and rechange our mindset of what's appropriate and what's not. Even it can go down to, body shaming, from being skinny is better or being thick is, it, or if you way over here, you're on the fatter side or whatever, then that's not acceptable. So it's just so many layers of oppression that we have to we got to change, and we got to figure it out and be better at it.
Okay. Profound words. Definitely don't find anything to really disagree with. What I wanted to talk about, I like that last word that you used. I think you used oppression or whatever. I want to talk about a preference versus a put down. So I'll lead off with the interracial comment, for example. There are a lot of Black women, or Black people in general, I want to single out women, that have an issue with interracial dating. I don't have an issue if you want to date a white woman. I don't start having an issue until you say I date white or I don't date Black women because. As soon as you say because, I'm ready to fight. Because I'm like, your mama Black, your sister Black, what the fuck are you saying? Why are you putting this white girl on some pedestal that you wouldn't put your Black queen on? You understand? Fuck that. I don't have time for that. However, my wife and my girlfriend before my wife were both yellow. So somehow I got cast into this space of you like yellow women, as if my college girlfriend and my high school girlfriends weren't dark. And it normally happened to women. I don't know if these women like me or what, but they bring up the conversation. And I would always tell them, I don't have a preference. I like women. But if I did have a preference, why are you tripping? Because women have a preference. They'll say, well, I won't date a guy if he's not X amount of tall. Or I won't date a guy. Look at the shit B. Simone said last week, and I seen nothing but Black women defending her ass. You understand? So women have a preference, and they're okay to stand in that. Oh, he got to be taller than me when I got on heels. But if a man got a preference and say he want long hair, or he wants a thick woman, or he wants a smaller woman. It's like women vilify you. You understand? And I don't get that. And I want the sisters to speak to that.
Oh, it's on me. Okay. Come on. Okay, cool. Hey, y'all. Once again, like what Jerome was saying with that. Where Sylvia, thank you for your words as well and for your thought. And, this is going to be a shameless plug. The conversation we're having tonight on our thing is about colorism to extents. And we had 2 Latinx women come on our show, and we talked about, coming from Central America, diaspora, and things of that nature. But one of them made a comment, and she listened to the show again. She like, you know what, I made a mistake, because she considered herself Guatemalan. Okay. And my homeboy even made a statement like, man, if I would have saw you anywhere else, I would thought you would just be light skinned. And I said, man, when I first met you as well, I thought you were light skinned African American one as well. It's like, no, I'm Guatemalan, this and that. And she went on, and my homeboy, my co-host, texted me like, man, I don't give a dang what you say. Her daddy black. And soon as he texted and I received it, she said, oh, my dad is known as like Afro-Guatemalan or something like that. And we both like, nah, your daddy black. Your daddy is. And later on, she listened to it again. She hit me up like, you know what? I am black. I shouldn't say that. You have to understand where the color you come from, it really is deeper. And I say all this we talk about in our community, in our culture, that we really dismiss each other's skin tone, and it's a way to put people down, oppress people. That's the truth, no matter what way they oppress one another. But did y'all know that in the Asian community, especially in China, that there's colorism there too? I had a girl color my palm, say she's looked down on in China because she's dark skinned. Like, you are not dark skinned, ma'am. You are you're pale. You're white.
You're white.
I know, but she was serious though. And I was just hanging with them last night. And I'm like, it's serious over there. Like, China has some issues. And you see how they would treat Africans over there in China. Like, they treat the Southeast Asians just as bad because you're dark skinned. They want you to be pale white, like ring light white. But it happens everywhere, believe it or not. People are going to find a way to separate one another, no matter how big it is. Skin tone is just one of the easiest way to do so.
Awesome. Such great knowledge. Allie, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jerron, you mentioned why are you looked down on, or why is there some type of, side eye to the fact that your wife is yellow bone and your ex-girlfriend or previous girlfriend was yellow bone. I think overall it's just this idea that especially with you being a chocolate man, if a chocolate man is choosing a lighter complected woman, I think it goes back to this idea that light is better. So for me, if I can just give y'all some background, my daddy is chocolate. He's dark. My daddy only dates bright women. I'm not bright by any means. My daddy only dates women who are super, super fair skin, long, beautiful hair. I mean, he's made that very clear. And so I think it's the idea, without people having the opportunity to get to know you and just knowing that that's simply who you fell in love with or chose to deal with, that light is better or white is right, whatever the phrase is. So I think it's just the overall general idea or that a lot of people have lived by.
And then I think it also goes into, I don't think there's anything wrong per se with having preferences, but to add on what Allie said, like when you think about these celebrities who start off with these dark-skinned women, and as soon as they get these fame, all of a sudden they got the brightest foreign type of woman. And so I think that's also where it comes from too, is like, well, what's wrong with, darker skin tone, or what's wrong with it, someone that's closer to your skin tone or something like that. So I think that's essentially kind of where that kind of comes from, to add on what Allie said.
And once again, I understand. Can I call you Allie? Alondra? Okay. Hey, Allie. So,
it's
Alondra. Hi. Big on saying names properly. But at the end of the day, and we're stating our insecurities. That's where a lot of these things come from. And once again, thank you again for sharing. What you're saying about your relationship with your father and seeing the women he's picking has absolutely nothing to do with Jerron's lifestyle and his preference. And you're kind of pushing that thought process of what he's doing that because my dad do it. And have you ever talked to your dad about it? You know, I think that's something I think we can have progress with as well. Because once again, the whole, like the BBW, thick women, skinny women, all that. I've been liking thicker women since I was a child, okay? And that's been my preference. Have I dated women outside of that? Yes. But I know I have a preference. My wife would lose weight. She's losing weight now. And she know I'm going to be like, go on somewhere. But that's me, okay? But it's still love no matter what, because I love her spirit, her soul, her individuality. But I have a body preference, and that is fine. Nothing against somebody else going for it, but I like what I like. Can I go back and think of why I feel that way? Probably. I think one of my aunts was very mean to me, and she was real skinny, so I kind of correlate skinny women being mean, but that is me. And that's a thought process of why I do the things I do and act the way I act. But when it comes to the light skin, dark skin, it's something that's been built within relationships and our culture before even coming here. And it could be from colonization, that where it can come from. Okay. And it's just something, how can we overcome it, to owning up to it, speaking about it. But we can't, like, it's bothersome. It's a headache when a guy, and I don't know how women feel the same way, but I know from my perspective, when I see in other men, for our preferences, we are drugged through the mud. Okay, we are bad mouth. We are disrespected for liking who we like. I'm not even talking about interracial dating. I'm talking about just dating a woman that don't look like you. That is such an aggravating thing, and you gang up on us. And you know what? Does that help the situation? Absolutely not. I'm an example that I have where, like, once again, BBWs. Okay. It kills me when certain women commend. Well, no, I ain't gonna put it on women. Certain people, men and women, do this. Therefore, if you like somebody, but they have a certain preference, they'll get on and they generalize. Well, all men don't like this type of woman, or light skinned women, or dark skinned women, or women with natural hair. But the thing about it, it's about 50 compared to that one guy. It's probably another 50 guys that saying he love you, he wants to be with you. That's But you're not seeing that because you're not interested in this person, or you're not hearing the positive. You're focusing on the negative. I see that quite a bit. I may be wrong, but I really do see a lot of women, curvy women, all that say, oh man, these guys really don't like me. And I'm like, are you gassing? Are you capping? Are you really trying us on this? Do you really don't see? Like, I look at your mentions and I look at your responses of people like really gawking over you. But it's that one individual, and the guys look at that. We're like, why are you paying so much attention to this person? Like with Chris Brown. Chris Brown may not like dark-skinned women. We don't care. That's him. Many other men may like dark-skinned women. That's them. And with their choice, hey, that's their choice. But let it be. And I live in Seattle right now. And man, I don't see a lot of same, brown skinned couples. My wife and I are one very, but it's scary. It's weird. But you know what? That's them. But do I see a lot of black women with Asian boyfriends and white boyfriends? Yeah. But soon I heard my wife, she's like, all these men getting all these other, race women. Soon as she saw a black woman with a white guy, look at sister. Wait a minute. Like, where did that come from? Like, what's the balance here?
Right. It's almost, I'm going to let Jerron take the floor, but it's almost as if we allow our men, we expect you guys to hold black women to a higher pedestal, especially because we say that's where you came from. But sometimes us women, we have a hard time doing the same for our black men because we're looking at them to already be something that we already know they're starting so far off from being able to be. And so I feel you there. Jerron, you got the floor.
Man, Brandon talked about so much, and it's too much to unpack in the time that we got left on this podcast, but we could have several podcasts based off the things that Brandon touched on. So a couple of key things I want to point out. Number one is females respect real men. How many times have you heard females say, I'm not listening to what you say, I'm watching what you do. What matters to me is your actions, boo-boo. Well, what gets me kind of geared up or frustrated with women is women only like to admit their insecurities to their homegirls. They're too shallow to speak on the real in public. The example I use with this, and this is my opinion, so I'm not trying to generalize all women by no means. Y'all can hold me accountable for that, okay? My apologies ahead of time. But look at the surgery world that we live in now. You got women that, now some women just tell you straight up, I wanted this, you know, blah, blah, blah. But some women, they lie. That's why I can respect Kate Michelle, because she admitted it. She said, hey, I was very insecure. And men, we looking like, nigga, you was fine as hell. What you tripping on? I've had to break down the women that, and I've had to understand the mental, because some women will say, well, I just don't like it. And I have to sit on that phrase. Because I have to tell this one woman when I was single, she was talking about she didn't like her cellulite. I said, baby, we love that. We love stretch marks. Who told y'all this shit?
But y'all have to understand, but wait. Let me just interject right there, because I think that sometimes men don't realize, okay, say for instance me, and a couple of guys in here know me. One of my friends in here has been knowing me since like literally middle school, like literally. So that whole time, the same issues that I had back then are the physically, in my own mind, are the same issues that I might have now. So although a man might love them, I think that kind of goes back, and this is kind of off topic, but that kind of goes back to just women being able to be secure in what they see, what they feel within themselves. So when it comes to the whole surgery thing, I think that more so has to do with just women still trying to have to fit into this mold that has been created by the other women around them, and then not fully understanding that mold might not necessarily be for them. It's just, that's a whole, we're going to have some topics.
Yeah, I like this.
Hold on, Brandon. Hold on. So
okay, you got it.
You making my point. So what women do, and this is what Brandon touched on, whether he realized it or not, women put the responsibility on men. And they will say that a man made me feel, when really you're yourself sizing yourself up to another woman and feeling insecure. Because, so what I had a woman tell me, and I might have had this issue with my wife when my wife was getting on my ass about what I like on IG. And I was like, she was like, well, I don't look like, and I was like, you don't have to. I love you for, as Brandon said earlier, mind, body, soul, spirit, character, and all. You don't have to look like something else. Like two things they don't have to be mutually exclusive, because two things exist. I can say this airbrush, excuse my language, this airbrush bitch looks nice, but you also look nice within your imperfections. And I love them, and I love you. Or I could also say she's actually not airbrush. She actually is kind of perfect. But that might be, you know what I mean? That's her. That has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with you.
Let me, in my perspective, is this, because I was going to touch on something about, I'll get back to it. I remember now. But my wife is her and Jill Scott are my pinup models, hands down. She knows about Jill Scott. She understands that. But right here, this little background right here.
She understands.
No, yeah, we completely respect. She likes her Trey Songz and shit. I got Jill Scott. Trey Songz falling off, so Jill Scott's good. But the thing about it, I want to get a picture of my baby right here. Something sexy, just of her. Because that's my IG model, my wife. You know what I mean? So that's my perspective on that. And with other guys, because I have a homeboy, he like, and I know his wife is kind of the same way, which Ron's wife may be dealing with. But I'm like, that's them, that's their situation. My wife, whatever, wake up, that's my glory right there. But going back to the double standards. Now, we had an episode we asked for on season 1, we talked about women and their thoughts towards men wearing lace fronts or wigs. And just by show of hands, you don't even have to say nothing, ladies. Would you date a man with a lace front? Oh, thumbs down. She's like,
what? Wait. My wine is going to go down the wrong way.
Look at that. See, I haven't even started drinking.
Repeat the question. Repeat the question for the record.
I will repeat it for the record, but you heard me very clear. Would you, young women?
No.
Sure. Dang. Okay. Date a man with
Fuck out of here.
With a wig. And y'all said that with a stand. Y'all said it with your chest, okay?
Fuck out of here.
And the hypocrisy in that is amazing. All right. And, because you know what? And we had a whole episode talking about men's self-esteem. Okay. And you paint that picture like, well, we have to wear wigs. We have to wear weave. We've been pushing the corner to accept these things. Okay. And okay, that's cool. But now, and really wigs and weave, it came from men in the first place. All right. If you want to do the history about it. But all in all, going forward, it's like, wow. Same thing with men getting surgery. Would you date a guy like LL Cool J? If y'all didn't know this, but he had surgery on his six pack. That's how you have a six pack. Would y'all support that?
We can go under the same knife.
And he got fake calf muscles too.
That's the number one surgery. That's the number one surgery for men. Cosmetic surgery for men is calves. A lot of people don't know that. And wow. You can be big all over, you can work out everything else, but it's hard to build large calves. But going forward, I know a friend of mine, and he's struggling. He's very short. Okay, this guy's like 5'1" with his shoes on. Okay, and nice guy. The women think he's pretty, he's gorgeous, and all that. But as soon as they see him in real life, he's like, boom. Look, y'all faces a self. Alandra, I got it right the first time. Alandra. I'm country. I'm sorry. Gotta love it. East Texas, baby. But yeah, he's short and he's very, very, very insecure about it. Like the girls he date beat on him sometime. Like, and I'm not saying this in a jokingly way, but it's like serious, like, dude, you need to get out that relationship, man. Cause he's just like he don't think he can find another girl at the age he's at. He's getting older. Wow.
I'm gonna edit that part, but how you just gonna I'm just saying so. We can talk about it. Oh. No, we're gonna have to talk about it. I'm sorry.
It goes back to that double standard.
No, because me and my friend had a whole discussion about how I feel about women who will hit a dude and then not expect to get hit back. So we're gonna have to say that for another episode. I'm not on the that's a man, so
hey, I'm bringing. I got my training into partner violence relationship. Oh, that's like wow. Because no matter what, if he would have knocked her smooth out, it would have. No,
he would have went to jail.
Right? He would have went to jail, and it would have been her fault.
But he's trying to have a record. He's trying to do something big in his life. He can't risk that. But going forward, he think he got a pretty girl. He don't think he can do better than that because he think he's short. Because we got women like Dawn that would call him a bitch, and this absolutely look. He knows he can't get someone else, and I keep boasting him up. Man, don't matter how tall you are, how short you are. I'm sorry, this one turn around.
So let me just say for the record, the way you framed it up made him seem like a little bitch. I ain't calling him no bitch because I'm on his side because I feel like if she hit you first, you should probably knock her teeth out.
Gerard already know what's up. Gerard already know what's up.
We'll talk about that.
Nah, you called him a bitch.
But all in all, he wants to get shin implants. He wants to go across seas and get cosmetic surgery to make him taller. And I'm like, dude, no, don't do that. But women be doing it all the time.
Well, you missed the onset of our conversation where we kind of talked about, and the ladies were pretty supportive. We kind of talked about the difference between, there is, unfortunately, some stark differences between men and women. That, to me, sounds very female-ish, bro. Like, I don't...
So I wasn't too far off, Jerron, then.
I ain't trying to dish your mans, but come on, bro. Men got to handle their insecurities different. Just like we have emotions.
That's a culture. That's a mindset. That's a culture that people build that. Where does it come from? That's all.
That's biblical, Brandon. I'm gonna tell you. So when the Bible refers to a woman as the weaker vessel, you have arrogant patriarchal men that think that means that she's beneath me or she's this or she's that. I have some type of express dominion over here. What it really means is that she's different from you. She's going to process information different than you, handle her as such. God calls for a man to be a man. You understand? So I'm not saying a man can't show emotion. I'm not coming from old school saying you can't cry. you can't be sensitive. That's nonsense. And that's not mentally healthy. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying, point blank, you shouldn't process stuff like a bitch. You should be a man.
That doesn't say anything, though. You literally said words with no content behind it, okay? What does that mean, okay? Because when you say be a man, what steps do we classify as men?
Emotional intelligence.
And based on what culture that we're representing as well. Okay, we go through more of a mind, not only biblically, if we go into detail, because you showed me what's the standpoints of being a man. Because you even said it's changed. When who changed?
No. God ain't changed. His word ain't changed. Society.
No, I'm not saying this. Then okay, but you said in society, like for crying, because if I cry, I guarantee it's gonna be a bunch of men that's gonna be like, oh, he a bitch.
Okay? They ignorant.
He's a B word. Okay, used it several times, but those are things that we have. And once again, I'm not arguing with you, but men and women, people handle things differently. And it really is based how you was raised, how you're brought up, not only about your family, the area, the whole nine. But it's hard for me to judge somebody else because I don't know their story. And that's why we ask when they come on our stuff, I try to understand their story. You know, how were you raised?
Okay. Can you hear me? Y'all can hear me? All right. So I'll make this brief just because I know we're very short on time. I just got a question for Jerron and Brandon. I think it is. Jerron, are you taller than your wife? Thumbs up. Yes. Brandon, you taller than your wife? No, but you still taller than her though, right, Jerron? Even though it's just a little bit. Okay. So why is it that if we have the space and the resources to change something about ourselves that we don't like, why is it that he's looked down upon as a man for wanting to go change something about himself that he doesn't like? Jerron, because you said it's a female thing and he shouldn't. Women want to feel protected. That's a characteristic of something you look for in a man. A lot of that comes with a nigga being taller than you. It's very hard for me to feel protected standing next to a nigga that I'm looking down on. That's difficult. And I'm just being real. So in my mind, if that is a major insecurity for him, if that's something that's going to be a reoccurring thing within his relationships that causes issues, if he has the space and the resources to change it about himself, if he's not changing it based off of what we talked about earlier, comparing himself to if this is something that he has decided within, I don't like this, I want to change this, why not? And why is that something that he's looked down upon because he's a man?
So I also want to just add on to that, and just by saying, because we kind of briefly touched on the whole surgery thing, and I'm a woman who, I work out, I don't eat all that healthy, but I eat pretty healthy. I cook at home, especially now that we're having to stay inside. And so for me, I've always been open to the idea of being willing to do certain surgeries on myself, just because it's much, much harder for me or whatever the case may be, right? So I think when it comes to that, what Alandra's talking about, what Allie's talking about is, it's okay in one way, right? But then at the same time, I think that people have to understand, like, it goes back into kind of that mental of, for me, it's really hard for me to feel protected and feel really safe, me being on the bigger side of the women. Nowadays, what's considered the bigger size, like, let a doctor tell it I'm obese. If a doctor were to put me on a scale, right, I'm obese, quote unquote, right? And so for me...
Unmuting me.
So for me, it's kind of just like, I would prefer someone much bigger, and I am just automatically, just off a physical perspective, which is all us humans know to go by, is our first thing that we have from anybody is our physical perception of them. Physically speaking, perceptively speaking, if I see someone, the first thing that I'm going to be gauging any past thought of anything is how I feel as a woman being my size, how I am next to him. So I'm just adding that on to what Allie said. So maybe
do you compare it to being for protection as well?
Correct. Because to me, if you're like the same size as me, I mean, we probably gonna hold about the same in a place. We might hold about the same in a plex.
And if you want to pull it back to really...
And hold on, and let me just say this. One more thing. Just because it's from an emotional standpoint that I don't think a lot of men maybe really understand this, but at the end of the night, when we have both faced the world individually, right? Because in healthy relationships, you're individuals that have come together. So once we face the world individually and we come together at the end of the night, for some women, not all, but for some women, the size proportion, not only the protection out in the world, but when I get home late at night, that coddle that you're able to give me, depending on your size, that matters to me. Because as a woman being my size and who I feel, just me personally, as DawnTheDoll has to go out and face and what I have to give out to be able to make it through each day, at the end of the night, if our feet touching and our lips touching and we just like equal right there, like I don't got to scoot up none, you know, or like I don't have to, like you can't like
just say you like what you like, okay? Just
and we're cool with that.
What you like,
we
but
cool
when
with
you
that.
start, but y'all were talking shit about the young man. Y'all, I'm telling you, that's where y'all doing the same thing y'all don't want men to do. You did the same thing. Jerron say he gets upset and mad when guys say, "Well, I like white women." But then y'all said, but the reason why I don't like black women, that's what y'all do. And that's the thing about from that individual. Because once again, I'm bald. I am so prideful of being bald as well. And you know what? Women say, well, I don't like bald men. Well, I can't curse right here, but F you, ma'am. And it's fine, but F you. You good. Because a lot of women like bald. I have gray in my head. People like that. But all in all, if I want to do something to it, if I want to shave, I want to keep it, it's up to me. Oh my God, FYI, Profin is not being okay. But it's just one of those situations where, yeah, you have the right to have your preference, but when you start being dismissive towards others, that's a problem. And be ready when people are dismissive back towards you. Because like you said, if you're saying you're a larger woman, it's and you know it. It's guys.
And I think that's where kind of maybe I adapted that mindset too, though, is because like for me, when I think guys, so say for instance, if I'm out, right, and a guy who I'm attracted to, if I see him, the first thing in my mind is typically he's going for the model type. Like I probably done spotted, and this is me just being completely 100. I've probably spotted 2 or 3 other females that I think that would be his type. Not knowing this person, not speaking to him. The typical guy that I would go to in my mind has a certain type, and they don't look like me. And I'm okay with that. They have their
You made the
life.
exact point I made earlier. You made the exact point I made earlier. It's, once again, you looking at the guy that you're interested in, but it's like 20 other dudes that's in the room looking at you, but you're not looking at them.
Bad.
Yeah, and you know what? You looking at them, but you go have your preference, but you go to be dismissive of the person. Not every man, but the men that you have preference towards. You're dismissed. You're like, oh, they're the problem because they're doing the same thing that you maybe. It's sad. It goes back and forth.
So let me get on that because that's what I was trying to make earlier. Y'all cut your boy off. You know, Brandon had to flow for 20 days, and I go for 2 hours, and niggas was mad. But that's the point I was trying to make earlier. That I think the other young lady that was on, she might have got rubbed some kind of way, but I didn't get to make my total point. The point that I was trying to make is, and this will answer Allie's question. I'm not pressed by anybody that wants to do anything with their body. I might have an opinion, you understand? But what I'm preaching to people that I love is to love yourself. So that's why I say I like it. If you're saying I want to do it because I want to do it despite what you like, then cool. That's like, I'll give you an example. Hope my wife don't hear me or cuss me out. My wife has had my children. My children have changed her body. I still like her body. But there are things about her body that she does not feel comfortable with. She wants to get a breast augmentation because she wants her breasts to look more similar to what they look like pre-baby. I'm okay with that. I prefer natural. You know, if I could control it, she would stay how she is, but I can't. This is my wife. I'm the head of this household, but that's a person. That's a grown-ass woman. So she's going to do what she feels is necessary, and I'm going to support her. But if she asks my opinion, not my permission, my opinion, then I'm like, nah, baby, don't do that. You ain't got to do that. Or I'm letting her know, baby, I'm going to love you regardless. I'm going to find you attractive regardless. And so that's all I was getting at earlier, specifically for Black women. I don't want Black women not loving themselves. I big up Black women. So first of all, I love Black women unconditionally. Okay. So I think Black women should toot their own horns, big, fat, skinny, whatever, because the whole world want to be like y'all. The shit that you was getting shamed for in the 90s, big lips, big hips, big butts and everything, niggas is going and getting surgery to look like that. That says something about the women that we have as a culture.
I just want to interject there only because I think that it's really important for us to call out, and I can say this just speaking, this podcast gonna make me be vulnerable and real. Damn, okay.
That's good combo.
I think that it's really important for us to just talk about how, while you're one person, right, and how eventually I would love for our entire culture to get to this place, right? Like if women are doing this because for themselves, they would like a particular thing, right? We're not talking about women who have had like kids and who are doing it to maybe reshape their body just naturally that they can never get back because they bore children, right? Or anything like that for any reason. I think that a lot of times Black women, we're getting these surgeries because we're seeing so many women who do look like this, who do have certain features, who apparently these features are what's it. Whether that be because that's what the men are marketing from their, that's what the men are marketing on their social media when they're representing their wives and everything. And then the women who, because like for me, for my opinion, I'm single, right? Single, ready to mingle, not in any rush. But at the same time, to me, I feel like, yeah, it's a bunch of hoes that done got wiped up. I know for a fact these hoes for the streets. I know for a fact these hoes for everybody. But they look like a bunch of other women who are in right now. They look like a bunch of other women that are more desired physically by men. And I just think that maybe because us as a culture have gotten away from things past looks, that maybe that's what gets lost. But I know that a lot of women are going into these surgeries because, again, the women who look a certain way are the ones who seem to be winning nowadays in multiple aspects, business, pleasure, all of that. When you look a certain way, it seems as if you were propelled into a more successful type life. So I think that's something just to take into account.
I'm going to tell you, and I'm not challenging what you're saying, but what I'm going to do, what the Lord is speaking to me is saying, is something that our mamas taught us. The grass ain't always greener. You don't know what somebody is dealing with over there with that Mercedes-Benz that's really a lemon, right? And then the key word is, especially in this social media time, I have to tell people all the time that when we're trying to do this Christian walk, I say it might seem like sinners and people that are living different than what God has called us to live are winning. But really and truly, they're not, because they're going to have to give account for everything that they're doing. All of us that participated in fornication, whether we call it STD or not, you have to deal with the implications of having premarital sex, because our bodies was not designed to have premarital sex. But we all, most of us, might be some virgins out here, most of us chose to do that. And I'm telling you, there are consequences and repercussions, whether you realize it or not, right? So I just want, I appreciate Dawn being vulnerable like that, but what I want to say to all people, let alone my sisters, love yourself. Don't try to prejudge a book no more than you want to be prejudged, because females are detectives. They'll look at your IG and see what you're liking and determine that's the type of woman you like. And they have no idea that I would love me some you, or I would love me some, whoever the case may be. And last thing I'll say, to follow back on what Allie was asking, I do owe an apology because I definitely didn't want to come off as judgmental of the guy getting the cast or whatever. But again, something that I've really been studying. First of all, I've been reading this book that Nipsey Hussle was talking about, The Way of the Superior Male. That's been enlightening me. And then on top of that, DeAndre Whitfield, that play on Queen Sugar, he's been doing a series called Male versus Man. And I've been tuning in to some of that, listening, and I feel strong in my convictions that men need to be men in today's society. And so again, I'm not putting down a woman. In no way am I talking down a woman. Hopefully I've talked up enough about, especially my black sisters. But for a man I just hold you to a different standard of how you're supposed to respond to insecurities. And one that nobody wants to talk about that we have to deal with every day, this is those niggas that be asking you how many dudes you done been with. He's insecure. He ain't a man. You don't need him. He shouldn't be concerned about that. He should be concerned about if he like you, he should be the last nigga if he really about their life. Next thing is, one thing we have to deal with every day. I don't understand men that give thought to this. Penis size. Brother, you got what you got. You can't control that. So if that's a good example of if you out here being super insecure over what God done gave you, you ain't gonna never be able to make it. Because like we said earlier, if she wasn't a virgin, she probably done had bigger and better. So why are you worried about it? Do not concern yourself with it. Concern yourself with doing the best job that you can do to please your woman and learn her body. That's a man, not a boy.
Wow.
So I think that another code should be you don't ask people their body count. I feel like if you ask the body count, that means you're not really into that person.
That's been a code. Once again, I'm kind of like, you know how if you from Texas and you finding out people just now finding out about Juneteenth, I'm like that with a lot of shit. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's just it's. And I've seen some of my peers that come alongside with things. It goes back. They used to call me Shallow Hal because I used to like larger women. Then all of that girls larger women now. And I'm like, welcome to the party, fellas. But but it is one thing that kills me too. I've seen women on another side that, like, I agree with the body count. I always say I look at quality over quantity. If I find out if you mess with an individual that you mess with this guy.
Let me get on that, please.
That's all like,
please.
I'm like, that's what I'm kind of, but I'm honest. Like I say, time to time, the
quality over quantity.
Real still, man.
So y'all judge women based off of who they
I do.
Okay, so
I do.
So here's my question, Jerron, because I really want to hear. I have a question, but I want to hear.
But I'm gonna
ask you
the girl I lost my virginity to, she was hood and she was ugly. But she had a great body. But she was one of the ugliest people I've seen in my life. And it's like
it was fire though, wasn't it?
Man, I was young. I was a virgin. I had to get her she was like a butterface, but I'm talking about 6 pack.
Not a butterface.
So I have a question.
But go ahead.
Are you finished, Brandon?
I'm finished. I'm done.
I want to touch on that.
Okay, Jeronna, in this, I want both of y'all to touch on both questions. So, one statement. So, just to clarify, y'all do judge women based off of. So, you found out the girl who you dating or you dealing with has been with the biggest ain't shit nigga. You're gonna judge her based off that. On the flip side, if you find out that one of her exes was a player for the Houstons. Is that a team? The Texans. Texans. There we go.
Wow, the Houstons.
Wow.
Houston what?
Wait, sorry.
We got quite a few teams down there.
It's okay. The Texans, the St. Louis Cardinals. Let me keep it where I know.
Oh, you in the Midwest?
They were professional athletes. Okay, let me
depend what player.
General. Okay, so then what? Is it the same type of judgment, or are you now?
Depend what player. Yes, so depend what player.
I'm gonna jump on that, and I want to hear Brandon's perspective. So what I'll tell you, I'll use a Houston example. I'm gonna use a Houston example. So if there's a young lady that I'm talking to, and she used to talk to James Harden, I'm moving on. And it ain't got nothing to do with his money. It got to do with his reputation around Houston. Is he will drop bread on the punani, right? And so there's no way that a sister hasn't heard that. And so to answer your question, athletes, I'm not really worried about because that goes to Brandon's point earlier about ego. Some dudes start sizing themselves up, just like with the penis thing. They start doing the wallet thing. Oh, well, she done talked to this rich dude. She like things that I can't provide her with. And then dudes be like, they can't handle it. I'm not on that. But specific dudes, rich or not, yeah, I do that because what's happened to me, this turned me into a dog. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. This turned me into a dog. I used to have chicks that I wanted to smash, but they wanted to wipe me up. And they kept liking these. They kept liking these little cliques in high school and these little popular guys that was no good.
And I'm like, nice no, bitch, fuck me too. I don't want to wipe. That's the worst.
You know what I'm saying? And so I came into the situation in college with it in my mind, like I'm just gonna be an ain't shit nigga. This what fuck. when really I'm a sucker for love ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? But I came into it like, hell, I'm handsome. I'm finna get him. But to go to judgment, last thing to piggyback on Brandon's point about quality over quantity. So this is my thing, and it has increased as we've grown. So back in the day, if you met a nigga at Monday and you smashed him Monday, that was a no for me. As I grew up,
that was my problem.
Hold on, I'm gonna tell you. As I grew up, I started realizing.
Wait, Brandon, you said not for you?
I'm finna touch on that too. So as I grew up, I started saying, well, no, things happen and she grown. She has dominion over her pussy, her vagina. So I started looking at the habits. I said, but if she makes this a habit, again, I'm not judging her, but that's not for me. So that's my biggie, is that if you approach, I can't say that. That's undeveloped thought.
Take your time.
I stick to this one. Big no-nos for me. You can call it judging all you want. If I am aware from a valid source that at any time in your life you have had a train ran on you, that's a no-go for me. More than likely, your character is not what I per se need in my life. Outside of that, I am not worried about how many men you've been with, etc., etc. I'm looking at quantity over quality from the standpoint of, quality over quantity from the standpoint of, again, my insecurity, speaking about it clearly. Don't be a hoe for these men and then be trying to wife me up. When I peep that, I'm not with it. You know what I mean? And that's just that. But
I got a question when it comes to that. Because the word hoe, right? Like, we all use it in different contexts at different times.
Whore. Go ahead.
Whore. These whores are for everybody, right? But I got a question because I had a friend who told me that if a girl likes a guy and that guy says he's not ready or whatever, some type of way, pretty much you could be wifey, but I don't see that right now, was the ultimate, whatever his excuse was, right? Like, I'm not ready or whatever. That woman should then wait for him because that's her genuine interest in everything. And if she goes off and does what she does, that then makes her kind of like a hoe. Like, you for the streets, you for everybody, because you're not even. And to me, it's just like when you say if I find out don't be a hoe for everybody, what substitutes her being a hoe? Because in all of those moments, she thought that guy was gonna be that guy for her. In those moments, most likely she thought, hey, this is gonna be. She lied? Oh.
She lied. She knew that nigga wasn't she wanted to fuck like everybody else.
Oh.
So that's my thing. If I guess the way I can sum that up, Brandon's been talking about double standards, and I'm gonna let Brandon have the floor. But I am a supporter of the double standard because I know where my ego is. So you mentioned the word hoe. I tell people all the time, I like hoes. I don't know why niggas condemn hoes because I'm an Aries, I'm a sexual person. I want somebody that's very sexual about their life. I don't want her to conduct herself in a way that it's kind of like they say, lady in the streets, freak in the, whatever. I'm messing it up, I'm sure. But lady I don't want her persona to be known as, oh, this Dawn, she a toss. Anybody can get it. I'd rather look at it from the other side of Dawn is in perfect dominion over her body. Dawn has decided who Dawn wants to sleep with. And there's a fine line between that. There's a fine line between you being out here for everybody and you have fucks for niggas.
And you know what? As a woman, correct. And as a woman, first and foremost, let's just set the record that DawnTheDoll has never had a train run on her, right? No. Not that anyone here on the call is implying that, right? Like, just for shit and giggles, just to put it out there because it sounds cool.
No implications. Just stating you because I'm going to run with the statement that you made. She had dominion over her body. In certain cultures and certain, know how minute they may be. Some women may want that. They want to have the interaction. And I'm looking at control is one thing you're just doing it for the attention simply, or you just want, this is what I want. I want to be ravished. I want to be taken control of.
Not only that, but I think that once women start to fully understand their sensuality, which is something else that this year I'm really working on. I'll have a couple of workshops. You'll see them posted in different episodes where you ladies can click the links. But one thing I'm working on is when women realize their sensuality, it'll cut out a lot of that, these hoes being for everybody. Because even if you want to be a hoe, you might not be for everybody, just a few people. But what I'm getting at is that I think that kind of goes back to, in that moment, like, I don't think that a lot of times women really feel like they're being a hoe. Like, I think that in a lot of times, women, as they deal with men, are hoping that this is the guy, because as women, as helpmates created from a man, we're created and designed to want certain things, which is why we get called all these, we're emotional and we're these, we that's
searching.
what we thrive on. We
searching.
Correct. We're
searching.
Well, that's a mistake that women are making in general, is we're the ones searching whenever we're supposed to be found. But that's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that another day. But on the discussion of just as far as like coming from like...
Oh, let's see. I'm big on the whole Google. Like, what is a whore? It's a difference between a hoe and a whore. Okay. Is it? You know,
I say hoe and a slut.
The slut is different.
I say it's different between a hoe and a slut.
I'm a slut.
I like hoes. I don't like sluts.
Okay. Is a prostitute offensive? A woman. Okay. Plural hoe or hoes. Used especially to attract attention.
But I think that whenever we say hoes, though, I think that we're forgetting that a lot of these women in these instances don't feel like, oh, I'm just busting it down. And a lot of times women are in the mindset of, this guy has made loaded statements as far as him wanting to be with me, him seeing me a certain way, them holding me to a certain light, them holding me to a certain standard, how they could just see me this particular way. And as women, that's something that we crave, we desire, we need that. Now, these hoes can be, the hoes can say that they don't need no man, but I'm telling you, from a woman standpoint, we need that from a man. So I think a lot of times women become quote unquote hoes, not even realizing that in the world sense they're becoming hoes, because in these instances we're thinking that this is about to come to fruition and be something way more than just this moment in time.
Done.
I'm drinking. Go ahead.
Real quick. So y'all tell me this, not saying that you have to find Future attractive, but why do women keep messing with Future then?
No, that's a lie. I'm striking that from the record, just so you know, because we're not gonna bring somebody else. Add somebody else's name.
Oh, what? That's a perfect example. If a man got 7 baby mamas, what kind of fool you got to be number 8?
That's like Young Jock. That nigga got a whole bunch of kids, and his current fiance doesn't even want kids at all. For that reason, like, you got so many.
If we talking about whore, basically whore, it goes all the way back to prostitute.
Okay, so what's the difference? Because for those of y'all joining in, we're about to hear the difference between being a hoe and being a whore. We're gonna everything culture about to drop some knowledge on us.
It's not a difference, one, but it derives from a person, in particular a woman, who engages in sexual activity for payment. Sex worker, call girl. And it could be also offer someone for sexual activity. It's the same thing. Basically, you're getting paid for sex. Hoe and whore. Now, what we may call people hoe and whores is just being promiscuous. I think which I like. And we just put it, add it all together. Now, I would look at man. I took in, try to help raise one of my little cousins before, 15, 16-year-old girl. And, we go through emotions, we go through feelings at that certain age. I don't know how you two young ladies were, or whoever that's listening to us right now as well, the non-video participant. How y'all were at teenagers in that age, but I know how I was at that age, and I don't put it past any girl just because they have a different sexual appendage that I do. They may have these same feelings, and I was a little bit more wiser than some what was told to me. But what I see with her, I'm like, you don't make a lot of smart decisions. You don't even know how to do your homework correctly. That's the scary, No, and I'm being blunt. I'm being real though. That's how I would, rationalize. And I always used to tell my wife, like, I don't give a fuck about somebody being a hoe. Excuse me. I don't care about someone being a hoe. Just don't be a dumb hoe. That is something that I was worried about. And it kind of made me think how a lot of these women are starting OnlyFans. And for the people, the old folks that don't know about fans only. But, okay, my bad. But my thing is, it's like, I don't knock. If you go do something, just be confident in what you're doing. don't second guess yourself. Don't do it based on emotion. Don't say, well, I wanted to do this. I wanted to sleep with him because I thought he'd go like me. Like, did y'all see I forgot her name on TikTok, and she's talking, her brain, her logic is speaking to her brain and speaking to her heart, speaking to her vagina or lady parts. Like, I love those videos because that's men it's serious. Like, which one you go follow on? Like,
yeah, but I want to pause there. I got to interject there, right? Because I feel like that's kind of what my friend was trying to get me to see. But I feel like that's manipulative. And that's where I have to hold, that's where I feel like I have to hold people accountable for their manipulation. And I say that because if men know that women behave emotionally because we're in search of a certain thing, I think that it's very unfair. Now, although this may be the norm, although this may be what we all know it to be, right? I think that it's very unfair for men to continuously put women in the predicament to become hoes.
Let's not say. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I just think because if you know that you're not trying to fuck with Shawty, right? You know you ain't trying to gal Shawty up. She look good. She got a lot going on for herself, but she just don't do it for you. It's something about her that's not making you. Shawty ain't it. Okay, but you know she's looking for who is it, right? And you know that to her, crossing this line of sexuality and intimacy is gonna mean a certain thing. Why even
fuck that?
Oh, so she feel like she was gaslighted and sitting on some dick.
No.
Excuse my language.
Yeah, exactly. And fuck that. Because what happens is now this woman is making me responsible for her vagina. Like I'm an asshole. So I done been straight up honest with a woman and told her, look, I don't feel that way about you, shawty. But them orgasms I was giving her was talking louder to her than my words. So she had convinced herself that it was gonna be more than what it was. I didn't do that. I was telling her the truth. And that's the thing. But how many niggas is out here really telling the truth though, Joe?
It's not a lot. It's not a lot. Honestly, it's trust me, I got homegirls and my homegirl she talk about relations. You'd be surprised at things be coming out some dude's mouth. And I
agree to that.
And I'm like, come on, fam. But
you don't think, but Brandon, you haven't experienced women that have really, and no disrespect, like we're just keeping it 100. You haven't experienced women that have literally conjured some shit up in their mind that you didn't say?
I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you about that at all, bro. I had a girl key her car and say I did the stuff. I dated some crazy women before back in my day.
Okay, I agree. Like, I'm not saying that bitches is not crazy, right? Because we all know bitches is crazy, but come on now, like you knew from Jump Street, like Shawty let you know, hey, I'm out here, I'm doing my thing. Man. You know, I'm trying to, you know.
Question. How many, this based out of East Texas, you know, I don't care. I'm a grown man. I don't understand how some women, because it goes both ways, and this is really going to key on Jerron saying, because men and women do this. But one thing I'm going to speak on it quick. When we talk about hoe, whores, you know, these negative connotation words, you know, we say about people, they don't just come from men, they come from women too. Okay. Women quick to call another girl that get attention in a lot of men and call her a hoe. Okay. Oh, she talked to him. She go to lunch with him. She spent time with him. She a hoe. Okay. And then when men catch on, it's a cycle. Okay. But which one came first? The chicken or the egg? Then we're going to go towards, I've seen men and women do this, but it shocks me because I used to, you know, you really say used to, that women were just smarter beings, okay? But I've seen a lot of women do a lot of dumb actions, okay? And I know some women that were female security guards in prisons and fall in love with prisoners, risk their career.
Oh,
I know Jerron go jump on that, and I'm like, just like you talking about, you knew this mother. You know this guy does not make the best choices. You met him at your job, okay? And you fell in love with him. I know a girl that was getting controlled. Like, he was in jail. We'll be hanging out. He'll text or call her from jail, from prison, and say, man, take your ass home. And she'll go home. And I'll be like, then that goes back. If you go be a hoe, and it's not about being a hoe. If you go be something, don't be stupid. And that was absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid.
So this is why I support the double standard that Brandon doesn't. because in all things you have to realize our differences. So a lot of times females think, because I'm a supporter of females being able to have dominion over their body. I think I've made that clear. But assumption of the risk. So when there are just like y'all said, there's not there's not a lot of men that are out here telling the truth. Well, I think that less than 5% of women can operate like a man because someone is entering you. So it is different for you. You receive things internally. Your love language to sex is different than a man.
Yes, pause right there. Just right fast, just so y'all know, just in case the biblical people didn't know, I'm a whole lot of hood out here in these streets, but just so y'all didn't know, that's why the Lord had told us that we need to keep that one sin and not do it, because that's the only sin that is done within the body and not with outside of the body. And once it's inside the body, you can't take it back out. That's why it's called a soul tie. But keep going, Jerron, keep going. Give him that knowledge. Go ahead.
Which is what I was talking on earlier when I talked about fornication. When people read their Bible, they miss how much God is putting emphasis on these sexual sins. They really miss that stuff. You know what I mean? Because so people they'll read that one verse that says, it is better for man to marry than to burn with sexual desire. But they forget the verse before that, where Christ says, it is better that you be like me and be by yourself. But for those of you that cannot control yourself, it is better that you marry than burn with sexual desire. Because sex is going to bring about a lot of issues in your life. And so I'm not putting a female down, but I'm straight up telling you, you cannot handle it the way a man can. And that's when you play yourself. You play yourself. Y'all, I agree that I think women are the smarter.
Apply to men.
Huh? No, it does apply to men. Absolutely. No. I'm not saying that, Brandon. Don't twist my words.
I asked the question. I literally asked the question.
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that men, because you have your own issue, whether it be, and Lord, I am not speaking about me.
And that's like we both look at each other. It's like
you could be that guy whose woman can't please you because of your past sexual demons and experiences. You understand? That could be something. You love this woman to death, but she can't make you orgasm, or she can't make you, or vice versa, because of your sexual past. It don't have to be. People only think about babies and STDs. It's bigger than babies and STDs. You know what I mean? Sex causes issues.
That's because we just living here in a physical realm. There's something bigger than what we all can see to our eyes, but that's a whole nother conversation, y'all. We supposed to be talking about these codes. When it get too good and you get off track, then you gotta bring it back.
But you feel what I'm saying? So I don't want nobody to think I don't want to present myself like I'm putting women down. I'm not. I just want women to acknowledge that
was putting women down.
Huh?
I don't think anything he said is about putting women down.
I just want to be sure.
It's just think about, man, when we searching and we're, striving to appease and walk in God's glory, how strong or how willing are you trying to get there and be there? Because now we're in positions in life, we're doing much better. We have wives, we have relationships, if you have that. So we can be a little bit more, I'm good. But back in the day when we were younger, when it was not so much like that, you weren't trying to hear all that. How do you explain everything you just said to someone, the 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19, 20-year-old Jerron?
Well, I got to explain that.
Or Jerron would even want to hear that. Or you would be like, I ain't even going to try.
Well, not to put my parents down, but I didn't have an environment that was telling me you need to, we going to church. We a church-going family. And my subtly to get asked. So what I've learned, instead of condemning him or the other men like him, I'm not going to do that with my son. I have enough sense to know that my son is probably going to get him some ass.
You're breaking the cycle.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be the one encouraging that by no means. I'm going to tell my son the most grotesque stories that they don't tell you in school about sex and what come with it. It ain't just about busting his nut. It's some other things that come with that. I want to make sure he understands that so he can make those decisions.
Man.
You understand? And so that's for me how I'm going to break that cycle, or how I'm going to try to. Because there's nothing that says I'm going to be successful.
And that's the right thing to do. And we all know that the gentlemen we have in here, ladies, I know some women may struggle with those things in life. Hopefully you're not struggling with those things in life. But when you actually do bust that nut, especially that first one, you get dumb. You get stupid. And It's like you literally almost go deaf. You start hearing things that don't make sense, and that's
Nigga,
why
I can see.
That's why you start sneaking out the house. You start, skipping class. I always used to say, hey man, I consider her a nerd compared to where I went. I used to be a big nerd my freshman year. I came from Hubbard, and it was like I came to JT, and I remember I was in class. I was in like the algebra, the math team. I would go traveling, doing all this and all that, just in my books, play football. That's it. Until one of the girls are like, "Man, you don't ever play. You don't give any attention. Dang, Dawn, you don't get any of the girls' attention and nothing like that. What's wrong with you?" And I was like, you know what? Maybe I can. And I know that was like the day like I flipped and started giving girls attention because I grew up fat and poor, and I grew, I didn't have any type of fashion sense, none of that. But when I like really girls like me, I was like, okay, cool. Grades started to slip. I started to be like you start doing little dumb stuff. And when I actually lost my virginity, it was like, yeah, I like this. Once again, things get stupid. I'm taking my auntie's car. Me and my homeboys, we sneaking in the house. I'm talking about I'm jumping fences, all for that.
But I think it's also much different. It's also much different for boys and girls because, for instance, you grew up a certain type of way, and then once you got that sense of self-esteem, I guess that may have been lacking, not where it needed to be, just for you to come into yourself.
You start smelling yourself. Okay.
Right? You start smelling yourself. I don't think a lot of times, and again, I don't know why it goes back to me kind of with that thing. It's like, dang, guys are so willing to put women, and I agree with what you said, Jerron. I'm not taking away from it, and I definitely agree for you. It's not about giving someone else that permission over you or putting full accountability on that person. But what it is for me is that it's so much more difficult for a woman to just so easily change that self-esteem. For instance, I was a chubby 4-rod girl my entire life, right? The only thing, hey, the fluffy people in the building, hey, right? Like, so the one thing I had going for myself was my hair. My entire life, I had long, long hair. My hair was what I had for me, right? So I say that to say, when it comes to women, we have such a much more hard time. Like, our time in getting that, whatever it is that makes us click and be like, nah, I got it. I got it about me. It's so much more difficult for women to get that than it is for men to get that, in my opinion, just being a woman. It's a lot more that we have to, deal with emotionally to unpack, to be able to take that switch and run with it, in my opinion.
Nope.
No, Jerron?
I think the biggest difference, I can only speak from my experience. Let me rephrase. I take my shaking head back. I'm not telling you about your experience. I'm just saying I disagree with the premise that you're talking about, because I think in my experience, I found it's a problem on both sides. I found women that had their father in their life have had their self-esteem built up, and that's one positive thing. The negative is they want you to be like their daddy. Fuck that. And then I feel that some of the women who haven't had their father in their life, this isn't the same for everybody, they kind of look for their void fillers, and they look for that void in other areas, and that helps them miss the clue that this nigga ain't shit. And so I felt very strong about my comment that I said earlier, because going back to what Brandon said about I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it sounded like he said he used to believe women was the smartest. I believe women are the smarter being, but I believe they have not proved it by their actions. And the reason I say that, listen to me. You can have a belief that's unproven, Brandon. White people been thinking they superior for years. That's what they think.
Unproven.
It's unproven. So follow what I'm saying. What I mean is that women could literally run the world if they could get dominion over their vagina. Stop letting that hot box control you. That hot box is a strong thing that can help, that you really have a lot of power with that bad boy. Dawn, one of our college, I ain't gonna say her name, but one of our classmates, she's a Delta. I put that out there. Wow. She is going on a journey. She's on a journey now of what you call it when you're not having sex?
Being absent.
Not abstinent, celibacy.
Celibacy, okay.
And she's been documenting it on her YouTube series and talking about it. And I support it so much because if you are celibate and you are removing that element out the table, now you're being responsible. Now you can think clearly because you're not thinking about that hot box that's telling you, this nigga fine. I got to know. I got to have it. Now you can focus on what he's saying and what he's doing. Are they aligned? What kind of character is he showing me? Because his character should be more important than the size of his penis and all of his physical attributes.
You're kind of proving my point. We both have the same weaknesses. Because just like I used to think women were like superior intellectually, I used to think men was more, we focus more on our ears sexually. Then I started discovering life. No, women do as well. If a woman likes you, if a woman is like, we can say love or infatuated with you, give her clothes off her back. You better go listen to some Pimp Don Juan. You know, they're like, she'll go hit that block in a heartbeat for daddy, you know, in the snow, rain, sleet, whatever. And with that hot box. Okay. Oh, no, white. No, they said the white ones are the hardest workers one.
No, hell no.
I'm not a pimp, but that's it's been documented. But going back,
if it's a white woman trying to keep a black man, she doing anything.
So
I'm not saying doing anything. I'm saying that go hard for their man. I'm not finna give white women no credit.
Once again, these are just what it's been documented by one of the biggest pimps that we have here in this United States, not United States, but worldwide. Pimp of the year 7 years in a row. But anyway, like I educate myself in numerous ways, different ways. You know, diversity is key. But it's one of those things where I'm not knocking. It's just like I'm growing and I'm still learning. I would never say I know everything, but I'm still seeing that. Dang, I thought you. I don't like putting people on pedestals. And on our show, I asked, who are you? Like, we have a part, we ask, certain questions. We ask, who are your role models? Who do you look up to? And, for myself, a lot of my role models are women. You know what I mean? And because I've had a lot, and I have men too, but a lot of them are women, and I appreciate that. But it's a lot when you put people on pedestals, and I hate doing that. And I've seen women that I put on pedestals do some dumb ass shit, and your actions really reflect your thought process. That's when you said that statement. Like, you can think a certain way, you act a certain way, but I'm like, your action really would matter. It's like me. I can think a certain way, but if I say, man, and that's acting off impulse, and if you call it the devil, the spirit, mental illness, what you want. If I look and I'm like, man, don't put your hand on that hot stove, and something in me put my hand on that hot stove, even though I knew not to do it, but I did it. Am I a dumbass or am I not? So that's how I look at that thought process, because it's like your actions really follow through with your thought process, and that's why you got to. Like with, okay, I'm stop, because we can talk about what thinking about. That's when we say when you talk about sinning. Even when you thinking about cheating, when you thinking about that, that's when the sin right there, because it comes to thought, then it follows with the actions.
So the thing is I like that because it's two different sayings that I like to use. It's consequence. Your actions reflect your consequences. Your actions, your consequences.
Take your time.
I was about to mix all that shit up. So it's two quotes that I really love.
See how she changed after she downed that wine just a second ago? Now she was slurring and all that. Okay, we see it.
It's two quotes I really like. Your actions reflect your consequences, and your actions express your priorities. And I think that what you're saying really inspires that thought, just because at any given time, you can be, now when it comes to sin, it's a little bit different, but when it comes to the physical realm that we're living in, I think that's whenever your priorities, kind of just to tie back to our whole episode, your priorities and your actions should represent the codes that you live by. Because at any given time, you can say that you feel a certain way, but if you don't act on it, if you don't make it come to fruition, then is that really what you really felt?
That's what I'm telling you about men. Men do what they want, boys do what they can. You a real man, you that if you wanna, go get her. You know what I mean? Go get her. Period. If you want it, go get it.
But you know, you got to be intelligent when you're doing that too. You know,
Yeah, because if it belongs to your homeboy first, then that's not intelligent.
A lot of rapists think that same way. If I'm gonna get it if I want it.
I ain't talking about. So
I know you're not.
Let me clear that.
Yeah, you got to do that.
That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying is, so prime example. Not saying Jerron got it all figured out or I got ultimate poise. I use myself as an example though. You're not gonna hear me talk about, man, I want this motorcycle. I want this motorcycle. You're gonna look up and I'm gonna have it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna keep, and my approach was the same way with females. You know what I mean? Early on, I didn't have the confidence to talk to women because I don't really play games. I didn't really know how to step to women. Unfortunately, I learned in college and I started playing some bullshit games. Again, going back to my hurt trauma, what I had been through with women. But I've always been of the adage, closed mouth don't get fed. I don't know if that's the East Texas roots in me, but I'm not finna go over there and say, oh, I'm probably too black for her. Oh, my head too big for her. Oh, my teeth too big for her. I'm going to find something that I feel like I can peg on that she may like, and I'm just going to go step to her and say, look, I like
you. You built your ego.
Whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going to find my strength.
Fine.
Yeah.
Hey, but peep game. We just went full circle right there. Your insecurities built your fucking ego right there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Once again. And that's why I say this is based off something and the same thing with me. I'm telling you, we talking about I'm a Leo. Man, I know I'm a lovable motherfucker. You know, great talk, you know, get along at times, but shit, sometimes I'm stressed out. A brother gotta cry sometimes. I still think, was you in there when we did our chat on our Sunday chat and all the time? I still remember the girl that went to the restroom and hid in the restroom until I finished with show and tell in kindergarten. I still think about that bitch. And I'm like, like, I wonder how Kiana doing. You know, I hope she's having a horrible life right now. You know, and I'm like, you know, and I pray to God get that type of spirit out of my head, but it just clicked in my head. Why did she do that to a child? You know, and you know, and my thing is with all those things that's happened to me and on and so forth, it brought me to being in social work for 9 years, you know, trying to help people that can't help themselves. And when I did social work, it brought me to that point of, man, and when I left Tyler, it brought me to that point that my perspective is not always right. And not only that, I need to grow. I need to learn. I need to speak to different people. Because if I base everything off my perspective, that's how prejudice starts. And that's how and that's because
narcissism.
That's what happens. So when I start learning, that's why you do it. And that's what we ask them. That's why we do the podcast. Why you do the things you do? What brought you to this? What's your culture? What's your background? What's your traditions? Do you know why you do the shit you do? Do you know why you celebrate the holidays you celebrate and shit? You know what I mean? So when you start looking at it and like, man, and we have some white people, and I shout out to them once again, that now it's like, damn, maybe my grandmother was a mark, or my grandfather. But if your grandfather, you know, was always sweet to you, put money in your pocket, gave you love, but he did rape a few women, you know what? That's still my grandfather. He was a good man at the end of the day. And that's kind of how what Dave Chappelle was speaking about with Bill Cosby. You know, we put that just because they were good to me doesn't mean they don't do any bad things, you know, and we're going to protect that. So when we go through our personal insecurities that we have towards other people, men and women, that's why, like, with that whole J. Cole situation with No Name, and it was like every person that I would say that would actually sit down and be logical about it was like, I saw where J. Cole was coming from. I actually understood. And he even said, I'm not perfect. Stop putting me on that pedestal. He said that like the very first verse, I believe. Okay. People expect me to be the person, a leader that I'm not. And then he tried to say, if you're going to be a leader, you got to stop shutting other people down. When you put people down, they're going to stop looking at you for that direction. And guess what? Let's shut people down. You know, they did exactly what he said not to do. So I believe that's something not, and with those words, we're talking about being an activist for the Black community, but we have to look at that towards everything, towards sexuality, towards religion, towards, love. Like, if you get more flies with honey than you get with vinegar. I know that's some country ass shit, but that's the truth. You know, so we have to make sure when we going out, like when I look, you know, you talking about with Drum, when looking at women and, you know, things of that nature, it's a lot of women that you probably been with that you may not like, you know, why was I talking to her? At that time, we were young and running the streets, you know? Mm-hmm. We were in the streets, okay? We belong to them, you know? Well, you can say at times we were bred by them. We was born
Community D.
What did Bang say? You simply, you was trained by the darkness.
Toast to everybody.
I was born in it. You know, you in them streets, but I was born in them streets. That's the difference, okay? So with the progress, when we make progress. So when we come back and we look at someone, that's why I tell my man, I don't know if this reaches my little cousin, man, I talked to him. His mom called me panicking, freaking out. She called him masturbating. Okay, he's 13, 14 years old. She went off on him, scared him, probably scarred that boy for life. I went off on her. Don't be going off on that boy like that, you know? He's trying to find himself. You know, he's going through emotions. He's going through hormones. And think about it. And I was keeping a buck with her. I'm like, hey, he's seeing how many men coming in and out your life and how you attach to them. He's going to follow your suit. Yeah, and Jerron know I said it. You know I said it. And I'm like, let's keep it a buck here, okay? You always thought he's going to be your number one man, but now you got a man. You got a fiance now. Guess what? He go look for a woman. And he's a handsome young man. His girl's going to be on him. That's going to happen. But do you know? And that's what she called me. I don't know what to tell him. I'm like, he has a daddy. Okay. I will talk to him as his uncle or big cousin, whatever. But he does have his daddy in his life. Okay. And I still think he should talk to his father first and foremost. Even if the father may give him wrong information, that's still his daddy. Okay. Now with me, she don't even know. I already had this conversation with the boys. I'm like, man, be careful. You know, once you start, it's like Pringles. You ain't going to want to stop. But once you get there and you get a girl, just make sure, do you want to have kids with her? How much money do you want to have? Like, I'm 30. I want to have kids now, but I'm like, I was so scared to have kids when I was younger because I did not want a baby mama. And I used to have ain't shit ways when I was younger. I used to say, I tell people, because I had to own up to my ignorance as a child and I had to speak about it, because if I don't speak about it, own like I've never said anything dumb in my life, I'm a hypocrite myself. But I used to say this in high school, that I wanted a light-skinned baby mama and I wanted a dark-skinned wife. That was what I wanted. I see you, Donnie. I know, crazy shit, man. But that was like, and I was like drawing, I used to be way more cocky. I said, and that's going to happen. And I was like, I'm going to have a family with a dark-skinned woman and I'm going to have a light-skinned baby mama. Because I wanted that dumb shit. I wanted kids with good hair.
But I'll say that's a common thing.
I know. And that's what I like. Until me seeing other people say this shit, I started looking. I wouldn't say anything. I went down. I like, that was some dumb ass shit. So when I came to University of Houston, I like, man, I think I had a pregnancy scare in my, what's up, baby? I had a pregnancy scare in my junior college. And that's what I think I matured a lot. Because I was like, man, I almost got this girl, fine ass, titties, pretty eyes, light skin, talking about did other little tricks and all this and that. I'm like, bingo, you know.
Cam Newton signed with the Patriots.
But
my bad.
Shit, I'm not surprised. It's fitting. But
no, first of all, we finna get way the fuck off. First, nah, I'm pissed. We about to have to end the call.
Please say Patriots. Don't say me.
No, not you.
Okay,
the motherfucking
cool.
Patriots, because that's my goddamn team. And we don't need his sorry ass, crybaby ass. Nope, I'm not with it.
Okay. First and foremost, I used to be a Patriots fan. I used to be a big Patriots fan. Cam Newton's probably going to win a Super Bowl with the Patriots. The Patriots is a Patriot, and Cam Newton is a very good athlete, okay, and football player, quarterback, you put it. And when you have the genius behind Bill Belichick, it's going to be case in point. So don't fret. But I don't think I'm a Texans fan. I don't know what fan I'm in. That's a conversation we try to have on our show. I don't know where I'm going to fit as a fan anymore on so many things. I'm so tired of the systems and
the bullshit. That's another day's topic.
Boy, when I tell y'all
that's another day.
I'm tired of your statements. What are your actions?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
I'm over this shit.
That's where I'm at right there. And that's what, like, I know we're getting close on. I don't know. I'm enjoying this. I love it. And, you know, this
Ellie
is what I
got
do.
Quiet. I want to hear what Ellie thinks.
But I was going to say, I'm trying to do hours. We're doing a Zoom call like at 5:30 or 7:30 Central. And, you know, if y'all gonna end this, y'all more than welcome to come and join ours. I'll be putting information on Instagram. Can y'all put your Instagram tags and handles in the chat so I can make sure to follow y'all?
Yeah. If you have the link, if you can post it in the chat just for any of our listeners, our callers that are listening and viewing right now, if you guys want to join the Everything Culture podcast here in about 30 minutes Central Standard Time, we will post it in the chat. That way you're able to join. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. This has been episode number 5 for Concrete and Blossom Podcast. I'm your creator and host, DawnTheDoll. We have planted the seed, Cold Black. So we would like everybody to go and blossom in your own lane. We would like for you to keep it 100 with your friends, your family, your network. Make sure that anything that you do, you're not creating a past that you have to run from. You're not creating bridges that are later going to be burned. Make sure you're keeping it 100 with everybody. Make sure that you're treating those around you the way that you want to be treated. Make sure that you are living by those morals and expectations that you want to set, not only uphold. I'm going to open the floor for any last minute thoughts to give our Concrete and Blossom podcast listeners.
What's saying your podcast name? Oh, it's me. Okay. Well, thank you for saying your podcast name. And I think I try to put it in, but the thing is private. But you mind if I throw a little bit about our podcast on there too? Because I think we have a great community in Houston. I say time and time again, the podcast community in Houston is the shit. Even though I'm in
my hometown, H-Town in the building.
I love it. We support each other. Shout out to Truckcast. Shout out to Podcast. Shout out to Egos and Opinions. Shout out to Socialites. You know, I really appreciate the support we have. We are Everything Culture. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Everything Culture. You can check it out on Twitter at EveryTHD Culture. We will be doing a Zoom call immediately after this. We do it every Sunday at 7:30 Central PM. Our background on our podcast is we try to interview different guests each show because we want to learn about different cultures, backgrounds, traditions, and understand why we do what we do. It's based off the words of Martin Luther King that he believes men hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other, and they don't know each other because of segregation. And we have miscommunication because we're not able to sit down and have a conversation. Our show is about sitting down and having that conversation. So, you know, check us out. Make sure, well, I don't know, Dawn, can you make sure to, what's your name of the podcast again so I can follow right now?
It is Concrete and Blossom Podcast, spelled out grammatically.
I'll send it to you, bro.
Okay.
Yes, you can follow us. We drop episodes each and every week. We have open forums as well as private discussions with different co-hosts. We're all about creating change through conversation by blossoming through difficult discussions.
Love it. That's what we're talking about. We got to collab. That's what we do. Each one teach one. We grow. Iron sharpens iron.
Closing statements. I just want to appreciate everybody, or say that I appreciate everybody, their comments, their knowledge. I'm thankful for the ladies for being so open, so vulnerable. This is my second time on here. I've enjoyed both times thoroughly. And I hope to be back in the future. So thank you all. My love.
We love having you, Jerron. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jerron. He the one that invited me. So shout out to my boy, Jay.
Shout out to Jerron for bringing Everything Culture into the call today. Everybody good?
I'm good. I enjoyed y'all as well, Jerron.
They say at church.
Seeing you, hearing from you again. I'm looking forward to the next conversation, the next garden gathering.
So listen, listeners, you've just heard another Concrete and Blossom garden gathering. I want to thank all of our gardeners that called in to participate in our discussion as we planted the seed, Code Black. Subscribe and follow us now on all platforms at Concrete and Blossom Podcast, and be sure to read our episode description for best practices on living by the code. DawnTheDoll delivers.